I've got a couple of things to say.
Say it all.
The first year he was born, I nearly committed suicide. I'm glad I didn't, because he's been a lovable boy ever since. He gets up to mischief, and the one word that describes my son is flamboyant, and that's how he's going to be all his life, I think. We can't change it. It's been fun, it's been hard work, but he has struggled, and I often say he didn't come from under a cabbage, and I love him.
You sure?
I love him dearly. So if you want to see the picture, and I've seen it, sorry Barbara, and it's beautiful, and this artist has done a wonderful job. There you are.
What?
What's your name?
Belinda Toll.
What can you see, my friend? What can you see? Anything interesting?
Magic. How wonderful.
What's wonderful?
I'll move. It's just, oh well, it's not like one of those pieces that you need to stand way back from. It's one of those pieces that you're drawn into, inquire into, and
Stick your nose in someone's eye.
it's gorgeous.
What can you say?
Just a wonderful,
Like there's little keyholes all through, isn't there?
wonderful little mix of tweeds and brushes and stuff.
Excuse us for
Oh, do it.
No, it's fine.
So what's been the reaction to the art?
I think it's been pretty good. So, you know, no one said they hated it, but I don't think people tell you they hate it. Not to your face. I'm not sure though.
How's it been selling?
Sorry?
How's it been selling?
I've sold a few pieces.
You see all the red dots?
Yes. So,
What are the red dots for, Frank?
These are sold.
yeah.
One that says red dots.
No, I've sold 4 out of the 7. So,
4 and 7. So you must be happy with that.
very, very, very happy.
Good. Good. Well done. Congratulations.
Thanks.
send me an email.
Oh, cool.
Let me know
Thank
your
you.
address. I'll know where to send them to then. Hi there, my name's Eric, and I'm a digital media artist. I have a camera, and I have actually just jumped into this little video for you. Hi there.
No, not an Archibald. I'm doing painting project for the Canberra Centenary of people who make Canberra a unique and interesting place to live, and Frank happens to be one of those people. And I'm doing all these portraits up to 2013, and then they'll all come together here in an exhibition.
So how do you feel
How
about
cool. Oh, hey, I'm really honoured. I haven't had my portrait painted before, so it's really sort of cool.
Yeah, and you'll have to come along to the unveiling as well.
When's the
Yeah.
unveiling?
We haven't quite got a date.
We'll have an unveiling of my portrait in the courtyard at Quantum.
So it'll still be there?
June.
It will still be there?
Oh, I don't think I'll be moved out by June.
That's June.
It's only a month.
Yeah, it's only a month.
It's not July when I get back.
Oh,
You're away.
what a shame. When in July?
Middle of July.
And you're heading off to
At the end of May. 26th of May.
overseas? Oh, what a shame.
So what are you, what gear is he wearing? What gear is he wearing in the portrait?
Oh, you can't really see. It's just all head. It's all head.
It's actually
Head and cigarette in hands.
head and a ciggy.
And how have the sittings been going?
Oh, very well.
Has he entertained you?
Yeah, he's very entertaining. We've had a
Late.
few lunches, and
Yep.
and Eric's doing a photo montage of all the different subjects, and so he's been videoing and interviewing Frank.
Yes.
Is he good to talk to?
Sorry?
Is he good to talk to?
Am I good to talk to?
The subject.
Oh, Frank. Who? No. Am I good to talk to? I'm very good to talk to.
Frank's very entertaining.
Who's this Frank guy anyway?
Who is this Frank guy?
Yeah, who is he?
When does the portrait get finished?
It's very close to finishing.
Well, you can invite me along.
Yeah.
And you put the last strokes and then go, it's done, Frank, what do you think?
Oh, okay. Have you got a card or something?
It says,
Okay. Cool. Thanks very much.
We'll have to invite this man to the unveiling of Frank's portrait.
Well, we
so,
may have to delay the
oh, good.
unveiling.
so you can get
It's
real
no
video
real-
from a real video camera.
When are you going next week?
May 26th and back on the 13th. So,
We haven't really set a date.
Yeah.
my suggestion is you delay it.
Okay.
I've been recording these issues.
Okay. Does your wife work at the National Gardens, the Botanical Gardens? You've got my show reel.
Oh, so you're the one.
Yes, I thought you sounded familiar.
Okay. So basically, what I've been doing since I got to know Frank, I've turned the camera on him. So I didn't really know Frank, I only heard about him and saw him in the corners and on the gutter and things like that. But then it was a project, there was Belconnor Markets. So for a client, so I suggested Frank as the architect and graphic. And so that's when I got to know Frank a lot more. And as I was recording the history of it coming together, the old going into the new, I filmed the process. So it was very much the client dealing with, so can you imagine Frank dealing with Tom F. Capides and Tim F. Capides on the Belconnor Markets, renovating the... So at the same time as doing that, Quantum was in the city and was going through a change. So it ended one cycle and then it was changing into a new cycle. You could say it was dying and being reborn, and that's the way I saw it. And it rebirthed itself in Monica. So in that corner. And then you see the growth and the knock on the door, comes shooting away, and whoever's answering the door, all the team, all the quants. So it's very much a history of Quantum and Frank and all these little quants, and his clients and his mum and all the little moments then it happened, you know, it was the 50th birthday or the 20th birthday, or 30th birthday at the Canberra Street Theatre and then the big auction.
Yeah.
So I was filming the auction. So
That will be fun.
So it's a great archive.
The auction being held.
It's been.
Oh, the camera's switched off. So it doesn't take long before they get bored.
Well, a conversation is a thing that moves around.
Yeah, it was
It's gotta
fasting.
move.
But there's people still negotiating.
It's Frank, you know. You don't talk about Frank, you know.
This is Frank.
But now it's me. Me.
And that's
Yeah, Barbara.
Barbara.
Get it right.
That's Barbara. Barbara van der Linden. Emmanuel Stefano.
I'm Barbara van der Linden. I'm an artist.
What sort of artist?
Well, I do portraits, and I also do traditional and new media, and experimental art, and all sorts of art. But at the moment, I'm concentrating for about 3 years on portraits of people who make Canberra. Interesting place. But I've seen Frank pop up and down
For years.
for years, because we're both graphic designers and the AGDA
Yep.
design and whatnot. And I've always found him really interesting, and he popped into my head when I thought of an interesting person I'd like to meet. That's why I'm doing the portraits, to be quite honest, because I've left work full time. And I want to meet new and interesting people all the time. I don't want to be sitting anywhere in a studio without other people around and having to deal with other people. So for me, I can pick anybody I like, if I can get a contact in.
That's all you need.
And I can get to meet them. Yeah.
Who's going to say no?
Well, some of them might
Exactly,
not
who's
like
going to
that.
say no?
Who's going to say take a shot?
You'll have a picture of Frank.
Take a shot.
Oh, good, right.
Come back. Where you going?
Nice in front of my eyes.
Okay, well, I'll catch you in the studio.
Yeah. Cool. Who are you?
Emmanuel Stefano.
It was a nice little diversion. It's good.
Welcome to the French party.
Just preparations. I don't know, some guy has a painting, I don't know. He's apparently world famous, but I've never heard of him.
He obviously drinks.
Maybe that's what he's famous for.
So here you go.
Hi, how you going?
Fancy seeing you here again.
Well, I know. Now, that's not a camera. This is a camera.
Where is the action?
Where's the action going to be?
It happens out here. And there's something up there behind a shroud.
This is Frank.
Oh?
The shroud.
How are you?
Oh, hello.
This is strange. With me.
Where's Frank?
Oh my God.
Where's Frank?
Tell my Frank, no, you have to think big. Hello.
What's this? What are we doing tonight?
We've got assorted canapes over there, vegetable crudités with horseradish and wasabi mayonnaise. We've got little duck rice paper wraps. We've got everything's made by us, and
Who's
sushi. Checker Plate Catering.
Where's your logos?
I don't have any here.
You don't
Ask
have
Frank, it's still on his computer. Is that your red Porsche out there?
Yeah,
What year is it, man?
84.
84. Ah, very good. That was the year, 2 years after they started putting the hydraulic.
They look special, don't they?
Yeah, bit bang for your dollar. Very cool.
And so will that still
So
be
you know
slightly
Frank?
short, will they?
Yeah,
That was a short
What do you know
yeah.
about it?
So if
not
you-
too much,
Not too much.
but I suppose I'll find out tonight.
Fiberglass too, so
Was it?
yeah,
Yeah.
like fiberglass box.
Even with the
What's the boss
hydraulic
doing?
thing. How you going?
What's the
Good
boss
to
doing?
see you.
Tell me about Frank.
Yeah, he's doing really well. He's at Melbourne Uni, doing architecture.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that where you met him?
Just got a couple of sections. Oh no, son. Frank's the name of my son.
So you got a Frank as a
Frank's
son,
birthday man. Yeah, I sort of half know him too. Yeah. I know your wife from the National Government.
So tell me about Frank. What do you know about him?
Very little, Frank Arnold. Yeah, just that he's a character. He's been well known for a long time and loved the house. But yeah, but
Exciting, isn't it?
very affable sort of character.
Who's this? Who we got here? Who is here? This is my granddaughter, Sienna.
Oh,
This is
she's
Frank's
lovely.
mummy.
She's lovely, Emmanuel.
Isn't she beautiful?
Isn't she gorgeous? And I love the pink top.
And look at her hair. Listen to her
Yeah.
hair. Cute. Oh, I love
She
that.
loves you too, and she's got a matching ribbon in her hair.
She's shy of the camera too.
Is she? Oh, she's, I know how she feels.
So how you feeling, Mum?
Well, I'm so proud of him. Yeah, I am.
Pretty special, huh? So I hear there's been a big fight over the portrait.
Why?
And I hear you won.
I was going to win in the first place, wasn't I? He says I'm a determined little sod. How are you, darling?
I'm good. Very good.
You good?
Yeah.
Oh.
You're looking good. You're looking $1 million. Oh, that's very smart.
Hey, Sienna.
That's Sienna. Say hello. Oh, there's Frank. Oh, to see Frank.
Cool. Yeah. And the donation bowl is in here.
There's a donation bowl. Well, what are we getting donations for?
Well, this normally what happens, M16, to support the gallery, they sell the wine, but it's a gold coin donation if people feel like it. And so we put a little bowl out there with a little sign. Hello. And yeah, hello Sienna. I'm the world famous Francois. So we just put a little bowl out, even though we're shouting everybody. But you know, some people throw some money, and that's cool. Don't you ever let a chance go by? Do you want to throw for the food, or the food's not worth it?
Are we eating that carrot? Eating the carrot. Is it good? It's crunchy? Okay, let's go.
What do you have? Carrot! What have you got? Carrot. Carrot? You love carrot.
So tell me about Francois.
Did you see Francois' mum?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, you've got to introduce. Tell me about Francois.
What a character. What a talent. Oh, I'm dying to see his portrait.
So who's this? Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. So you're the painter or not?
No, unfortunately,
sorry.
no, I'm not that important.
You're not that important, not that you're the painter. Sorry about doing this too. Where's the painter? The portrait, have you actually seen it? The portrait, or you just bought it sight unseen?
I've seen it. Yeah, and I bought it. And he couldn't argue. Because you can't take your money with you. And I told him there's no pockets in a shroud.
Is that what you told me? So you're not going to sell it as an investment?
Oh, I don't think I'd have any bidders.
How are we?
Are you back again? Congratulations on all of this.
Cool.
This is the lovely Barbara van der Linden, who was brave enough, foolish enough to have a crack at capturing this mug. And she's done a fabulous
And I'm
job.
speechless. I'm speechless.
Why are you speechless?
Because is he videoing?
Yeah, yes.
Now, what's hiding behind over there?
That's
Why are
Frank.
you hiding it?
That's Frank's hiding behind.
I'm behind a shroud.
Wow.
I'm hiding behind a shroud.
And I believe it's been sold already.
I believe so.
Hasn't been exhibited and it's been sold.
It has. It's sold before. In fact, Frank bought it, or said he was going to buy it when he saw a picture that big, the size of a postage stamp. He said, "I want that. It's mine."
And then my mum said, "I'm buying it." And I said, "No, I'm buying it." She said, "Frank, nothing would give me greater pleasure than to buy that portrait." What could I say? What could I say?
So yes,
You know,
thanks, Mum.
go. Well, no, I don't
it was
want you to
$3 million.
have. I don't want you to have the greatest pleasure. You know, no, I couldn't. So I did. She got me.
So what was this about, this big business?
That was little.
Oh, I just had a little printout,
thank
and
you.
it happened to be on
You knew I
this
could-
little
it's
poster
just a
that I
cheap
did.
little cheerful one, but
And he said, "Whoa, I want that one. It's lovely."
So
Put a red sticker on it.
Should we be doing together, you guys? Cheese together?
I haven't
Oh,
got
have you- do you want a
anything
red?
yet. Yeah, no. Bubbly.
bubbly.
So it was nothing to do with Frank. It was nothing to do with Frank's size or anything like that. Sorry.
It was just.
Oh no! Oh.
It was just I saw this beautiful, wonderful little likeness that was only halfway done.
It was a little flyer that I did, and it just had many pictures on it, and his was one of them. And he picked it out straight away, and he said, "Oh,
Love
put a
it.
red sticker on that one."
Hello.
And then I brought him over to have a look at the big one, and out over to the studio to have a look at it finished, the final. And he said, "My heart's all aflutter. I've got goosebumps."
And I was bursting into tears.
Were you really? I didn't see
I
that.
completely welled up. I just welled up. I got all choked and welled up.
So you're moved.
Oh,
It
totally.
was moved, yeah.
It's very scary having your portrait painted, and then
I think so too.
and then you think, God, what if I see it and I hate it, you know? And so Helen, champagne.
Well, thank you very much.
So clink.
Cheers,
Hey, here.
everybody.
Here's cheers. Here's to you.
You've seen a lot of paintings in your time.
Yeah, totally.
I think it's a bit different when it's your own.
Well, also there's that nervousness of what if I had it?
Yeah, what am I
What
going to
if
tell
it's-
Barbara?
What if it's got my eyes wrong, or what if I look really incredibly ugly? And I just looked at it and thought, oh wow, this is so stunzola.
Oh, I tried.
Hello. Hey guys, I'm fantastic. Yeah, I'm really good. Oh, I so needed this after today and before this evening.
Fantastic.
Cheese, Frank. Cheese, Frank.
She's your Frank.
All I want to say is that it's about time that his portrait was done. That's all I can say.
That's all you can say.
And it will probably show him in his full glory. You can see the gone face, the hard living, the hard playing, it's all there.
Dominic,
Hello.
how are you?
Right.
I heard you feature in the paper. Where do I get your olive oil from? Who's this stuff?
I'll give you that.
Hello. How good is that? I didn't know you did that. Oh, how great
there
is
you
that?
go.
Keeping well?
Again, Neil, how are you putting it together? So what did you do with this? Tell me.
Sorry?
Tell me about this.
This is just rice paper wraps. You soak them up a little bit. You just fill it with assorted mixed vegetable, a bit of chicken, light Asian sort of dipping sauce to go with it.
So was it inspired by Frank?
I don't know. I've done these for him before.
So who are you?
I'm Leanne.
Leanne, you're from here.
No, I'm John's wife.
Oh, you're John's. Is he a good chef?
Ah, well, I think so.
Yeah. What about Frank?
Frank is adorable and I love him to death.
And you love it. What do you love about him? What part do you love?
Just Frank.
Just Frank.
Just Frank.
He's going down the studio. Let's look at it again. So, what do you do here? Tell me. Talk to me. Talk to me. What do you do?
Yeah. But I'm running out of steam.
Welcome to mine.
It's pretty bare and
This is the studio. This is where you spend time with them.
I like it to be pretty minimalist. Don't
You
want too
certainly
much
have, don't you?
stuff around me.
Who are you working on there?
That's the
traffic light
windscreen scrubby fellow from Dixon. On the corner of Ant Hill and Northbourne.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful, isn't it?
He's lovely, he's gorgeous. He's got these most piercing eyes and I'm trying to capture them. This the portraits today, starting from the first one.
This is the first one.
Yeah, that's Cat Thompson. Mel loved his, yeah, he bought it too. And I said, oh, you know, once you've bought this, it'll go up in value because it'll be one of your own
I see Frank.
memorabilia. And I said, it's worth a lot, 3 times as much.
So how much time has
I
this
said,
been?
I'm never selling it.
How much time have you spent on painting other people?
How much time? Oh, about 3 days a week.
3 days a week, for how long?
Oh, depends on how long I can last. 4 to 5 hours, I think.
Yeah, but how long?
Over how long? It's a 3-year project. It started in 2010 and it'll finish at the end of 2012. and have an exhibition in 2013 for the Canberra Centenary celebrations.
Which one's your favourite?
Frank, actually, and Stasia.
Frank? Tell me about Frank. What didn't you get about Frank?
What?
What didn't you get about Frank that you couldn't put on the canvas?
Nothing.
So you got everything about Frank on that canvas, piece of canvas.
There's nothing missing in my opinion. Other people might think differently. But
You haven't got the laugh. You haven't got his laugh.
his laugh.
Haven't you heard him laugh?
He's got him around. His laugh is around his eyes, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
He's got the wrinkles, every wrinkle, to tell a story. You know, I mean, so many, but he's quite proud of them, and he should be. And Stacia, the soup kitchen lady, I like that.
Are you Mummy?
That's me. That one, that's the self-sex.
Yeah.
Still got the tattoo?
Sir Dominic.
No.
Mr. Charles? Is that Mr. Charles?
No, that's Franco of Canberra.
Okay. Yep.
He's coming tonight, Franco.
So they send the portraits?
This person, Franco the hairdresser, and Sandra, and Dominic.
Yeah.
He's here, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's there. They're all coming tonight, and I think she's coming and she's coming.
She's here. Actually, I saw her. It's good luck.
I think Stacey's coming. She's busy serving soup in Garima Place.
She always is, isn't she?
Yeah.
So what did you think? You like this one the best?
Which one do you like? Oh, you like the frog.
I call it the lizard's eye.
Oh, I like
Lizard's
lizard's eye too. He's
eye.
looking at you, Sienna.
It's a lizard.
Oh, I'd love one. Thank you very much. Yeah, lovely.
You really got here. Very special.
Oh, yummo. Thank you. Oh, I can't.
Would you like
No,
one?
thank you. I'll just
Shall I carry it out and we can sit down and have it?
Yeah.
Because we...
As a boys, we were always digging. That's it.
What about the food?
No.
You don't like the food?
No, my son is preparing that, you see.
Tell me about Frank.
Pardon?
Tell me about Frank.
Well, I know him for not very long time. I know him only for 10 years.
10 years?
But he's exceptionally dear friend of mine. He's a lovely fellow. And he's very capable. And he knows what is good. Not too expensive. This is the beauty. This is the beauty.
And what about the chef?
Unfortunately, this is my son.
Is he expensive?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Not as expensive now for his father, but he's very expensive for his wife.
What about his mother?
If the mother
She's afraid. She doesn't want to talk to me. I think that's the boss, the big boss.
Oh, darling, no,
It's okay.
no.
Dad'll tell me.
So you didn't bring the whole family?
They're coming.
They're coming?
We're at the stage now we're actually two in two vehicles. Because no one else will travel with me. I bribed her.
Tell me about Frank.
Frank, he might grow up one day. It'd be a bit scary, wouldn't it?
We don't want that to happen.
No, because it's not going to.
You want Frank to grow up one day?
Pardon?
You want Frank to grow up one day?
No, I've grown up with him the way he is, so...
What do you love about him?
Oh, everything. His eccentricity.
He's eccentric, isn't he?
Yeah.
What's eccentric about him?
Just everything. You can't describe Frank.
It's all in his hair.
Oh, that's slowly gotten better over the years. Slowly. Pardon?
You would have known him a long time.
Since, well, Dad grew up with him, so... I've known him since I was born.
What's it like going to his place all the time?
It was always fun because we just run around and cause havoc.
Can you do that tonight?
No, not tonight.
We went to.
What's wrong? Give me a squeal, that's it. I want another squeal. Come on, another squeal. Give me another one. Come on. Give me another one.
You're not doing the up the ladder trick, you didn't.
I'm not doing the keyhole one either.
You remember Alistair, do you?
Good, how are you? Yeah, I'm good.
Gorgeous. Very good. Keep moving. Hello.
Well, I've known Frank through Dominic Miko for years and years, but my most distinctive recollections are in the old backstage cafe at the back of Tower Theatre. It didn't last very long and it burnt down. And Frank is always one of those people who's pictured as being conned into doing things by other people, but he seems to get into plenty of mischief all by himself. And he designed the cover for the first Muse magazine that I ever brought out, and so I've been working with him. I mean, that's over 20 years ago, working with him ever since. I was very amused to see Barb, the artist, van der Linden, saying in something that she sent out to us that in appearance he reminded her of Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. So I'm very interested to look forward to the picture and see if it is anything like Keith Richards. Oh no, he was terrific. He's very flexible. He listens to you. He listens to you when you tell him what you want, and give him some of the ideas that are going through your mind. He'll go off and reflect on that. And he's got an amazingly varied background. So he took a classical Greek, I suppose you might say, idea for the symbol of the muse, and he's got a lot of ideas like that, and other ideas too.
Australia's Most Wanted.
We're not going on the movies, are we?
Most Wanted for avoiding me.
It's going on. It's going on Facebook.
Frank and Honest? Or is it Frank Muir's look-alike? Yeah. Could be. I'm going to have word to him about this Frank business, frankly. Quite bright, your lights.
This one here behind the curtain.
And you don't hear about them now, they're still around?
Just another woman. Also been painted by the same
I know.
painter. No, Barbara van der Linden painting her picture as well. All of them. It's on the project. Didn't you know about it? She's got 13 to go.
Who did she paint? She paint this lady?
Yes, and that. No.
Because I can do. Hello.
What's it painting?
Oh, it is a wonderful experience and thoroughly enjoyable. And working with Barb was an absolute delight. Yes.
You think she captured you?
She did. Yes, absolutely. She did 4 of us at the same time. And captured all of the personalities for each of us.
So we were all lined up in a row?
We were. Yes, when we were unveiled, one at a time. Beautifully done. Yes.
What did it feel like when you saw it?
Someone said it was confronting, but I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. It's nice to see yourself from someone else's perspective. Very exciting.
I've seen you,
Right.
Guten Abend. Wie geht's? Sehr gut? Danke. Always well, especially when I'm in a function like this. I just can't wait to see the veil drop. There it is. And when it drops, I'll say, oh my God, who is it?
How long?
Oh, 20 years? 20 years plus, yeah. And he hasn't changed in that time. He's still Frank. And tonight I'm disappointed though. I thought he would have had his red velvet suit tonight. He's a little bit dressed down. But I'm sure the night will continue to live.
How did you possibly capture Frank and put him on the canvas?
Say again?
How could you capture Frank and put him on a canvas?
With great difficulty, and that's why I think that I wait with bated breath to see the result. And the artist will have to congratulate to even getting to sit still enough to be able to get him on canvas. So we'll all wait. And now I'll step for a glass of wine.
Please do. Tell me about the wine.
This many people have had to come and have a look at a photo, a picture of you. Pretty lucky, Frank.
Those were the words.
Well, this is my mistress.
Your dream mistress.
I'm dreaming.
Yeah.
This is the gorgeous Moggy Morgan. I am apparently her sort of godfather. Oh my God.
She did try to get him to adopt her.
Yeah, she wanted me to adopt.
She's still working on it. I think the house is a good bonus.
But I just hope her parents outlive me.
Frank, I'm over 18, so...
Who has been lost to the world for years.
Hi, Lorna.
Oh, God.
Oh.
You are so gorgeous, and it's so lovely to see you. Wow.
Hi, hello.
Oh, yeah. It's all happening.
How are you doing?
So where are we?
I'm nervous as all hell.
How are you, brother?
I am fantastic.
Just as bad as
You're
auctioning a
not
house.
even painting anything.
No.
You're the paintee.
I'm the paintee. Hey, Mr. Kennedy.
Hello.
Just happen to be in the neighbourhood.
Hanging out around children's primary schools.
How are you going, Rob?
Hello, Rob. How are you? It's lovely to see you.
Oh,
I'm coming in now.
I'd rather not say. Oh, I don't know anything. I think he's a perfect gentleman. Sometimes I have trouble telling the truth.
Later, I'm happy. Oh, look, I was one of 4 young people friends of Barb's, that Barb decided to paint, and yeah, very pleased. I've purchased a portrait that's hanging in my lounge room, and I think she's fantastic.
Have you seen Frank's portrait?
No, I haven't, but I'm looking forward to it this evening.
So what was the unveiling, your unveiling like?
Our unveiling was at the walking clinic. There was the 4 of us. There was Joe and Juliet and Jenny and myself, us 4 girls, and it's called Just Friends.
It's a good story, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a good story. We came together and met through Sandra. All of us met through Sandra, and Sandra's in there tonight, and Sandra's a very close friend of Barb.
Howdy.
What are you doing?
Here to see Frank.
Frank what?
Frank Arnolds.
How do you know Frank?
I used to work for him.
Oh, really? Huh. What was he like to work with?
Terrible. Terrible man.
How are you? And what about you? Do you work with Frank too?
No. I'm a guest.
You're a guest, so why are you here?
Well, I've been friends with Frank a long time.
And you had a portrait, did you?
Yes, I did.
What was it like?
Very good. Thank you.
I asked Barbara to get the message to you, but this is my great mate Franco, who is just the most stunning. I have a feeling that he had a portrait painted, but it was actually a Dorian Gray. And I think the portrait is aging, but he is not.
It's a very good compliment. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. He doesn't remember me. Because I upstairs when I was at Tosselina.
Hello.
It's a long time ago.
I'm sort of trying to move to the left. Sorry?
She's another co-portraitee.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Have you had yours done, or?
Yes.
Cool.
Back in
One of
March.
4.
Yes, one of 4. We had 4 unveilings at the same time.
Okay.
Yes, Juliet, Jen, Wendy, and myself.
I didn't see that in Barbara's studio.
Okay. Oh, well, you
have to have another look then.
Have you stolen it?
No,
Locked away?
I do have the portrait at home, yes.
Yeah. My mum, 52, and she's actually bought my portrait. And I said to her, Mum, no way. I'm buying it. And she said, this is what Mum said. Frank, nothing would give me greater pleasure than to buy this portrait for you. What am I going to say?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, fuck off, I want to buy it. Of course I said thank you. It's actually a pretty amazing spooky experience, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't. Oh, cheers.
Hello, click. Hello, fellow portraitee. Or what are we?
Portraitees, I think.
Portraitees?
Congratulations.
Someone's been talking about you.
He's a pest.
He's a pest.
So what is Mum like? What's Mum like?
What's Mum?
Yeah.
Which
Frank's
Mum? Frank's Mum. She's awesome.
Yeah, what's awesome about it?
She's just an all-round lovely person. Not a mean bone in her body unless you get on her bad side and then you're in deep.
Yeah, well, I've got on my bad side. A few times, haven't I?
Yeah.
I've got that tone, that look, you know.
Watch out. There's probably a bit of sneaky and devious in there.
I'm trying to be nice to you tonight.
That's only because I've got the camera.
Yeah, that's right. 'Cause Frank didn't have to ask me.
Yeah, 19.3 FM, that's right.
From Sylvia Stern. She's radio station.
Have you done stuff?
I'm meeting with her next Wednesday. I'm going to paint her. I'm meeting her Wednesday, and I'm going to do some sketches while she's working.
What about the other one, Helen?
I know, I thought I've been thinking about that, but I've got a lot of women and I'm a bit short on the men at the moment. So give me a big smile and I might do you. No, I've actually got quite a long list. It's a bit daunting. I'm running out of steam. I need a holiday to recuperate and get started again.
No.
I'm behind.
Tell me about Frank, huh? Tell me about Frank.
Not me. Oh, no. Frank? Okay. What can you say about Frank?
Frank in a square box I like over there.
Frank. Fully clothed. But anyway.
Tell me about Frank.
Frank. I don't know how to put him in a box. It's very hard to put him in a box. I don't know.
Okay, what about in relation? Can you tell me in relation? Tell me about Frank. Can you put him in a box, in a relation box?
No.
Bazaar?
Huh?
Bazaar? Halus?
What's halus?
Halus.
Bazaar is big.
Halus is refined.
Refined. I don't know. You can't put Frank in Malaysia, no.
Okay.
Because, you know.
What about as a, from a restaurant point of view?
Well.
As a client, what's it like?
Well, he likes to have the same kind of wine every time.
Same thing. What about the food? Is it the same food?
The same food too, which is
So there's a predictability about it.
there is something, yeah. Even though he's kind of I don't know how to put him in there, but.
What about the people that he goes to dinner with? They're the same.
It's always the same people as well, yeah.
So if we're starting to narrow him down,
Yeah. Oh, all right, yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about it.
Oops, sorry.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues, people from my past and maybe some from my future. We're actually going to get proceedings rolling now. Not so we can save on booze, just so we can, make it easy for you to keep your Friday night going as long as you want. I'd like to introduce you to the lovely Barbara van der Linden, who has taken on the most extraordinary project to celebrate Canberra's centenary. This ridiculously courageous woman is going to paint 25 portraits of Canberra icons. Now, my understanding of as an icon is that they're several thousand years old, generally dead, and probably painted on a slab of wood.
I would
I
have
think
said
she's
unique and interesting people.
unique and interesting people suits me down to the ground, but to actually constrain people like us to sit and be sketched and to be painted, and to do 25 of us over the next 2 years is an extraordinary thing to take on.
It is.
I commend her. It was the most amazing experience for me, and I'd like Barbara to talk about her project.
I don't know what to say. Frank's just said it all. But I am painting, I've done 14 paintings, portraits already, and so that leaves, what, 9? Is that right? No, hang on. 9, 10, 11. And
She's an artist, not a mathematician. Give her a break.
It's a wonderful experience. I get to meet lots of new and interesting people, and that is actually the driving force behind it for me as an artist. I really want to meet new and interesting people. And I meet someone interesting, I say, oh, I'd like to paint your portrait.
What a pickup line.
Yeah, exactly. My friends are very jealous. And all of these paintings have an opportunity to have an official unveiling of event like this, where we can celebrate the life of that person. And this is what we're doing for Frank. And in 2013, all the paintings will come together and be exhibited in Canberra galleries as the Canberra Centenary celebration event. I think it'll be in either May or July of next year, and also at Belconnen here and at Belconnen Art Gallery, Arts Centre. Tuggeranong.
Jeepers, come on!
Where?
Way down south.
Yeah.
Faux pas. Take 2, cut.
Supporting, and I've also painted Dominic's portrait as well. Thank you, Frank, for being such good fun. It was really fantastic.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
And I hope you all can come again in 2013 or when we have other unveiling events. Just
I've got a mailing list for you.
yeah.
There you go.
All right, Frank's got the mailing list, we'll send it out. Over to Steve.
Stephen.
Okay.
So what I decided to do was it's about Barbara said celebrating my life, and I thought, well, I guess I want to do an obituary. That would be a bit long.
No worries.
I intend living until 2013 because I want to see this thing, this exhibition. So I've actually asked 4 people from sort of different parts of my life to say a few words. We have a bullshit button over there, so if they go past 5 minutes, They will be bullshitted. So this is my good friend Stephen. We shared a house together. We've known each other through the industry, modelling, whatever, and through the Rat Pack. And so I asked Stephen to be number one.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you. Well, actually, I'm going to be double-hatted this evening. My twin, well, actually, she's born in a different year, but Jo Spencer was also invited to speak this evening. Unfortunately, her mother-in-law is in critical care in hospital in Sydney. She can't be here, but she would like me to kick off with what she's penned. So let me read from my twin. With love from Jo. I can't think of a better person to be included in an exhibition of Canberra's icons. How many Francois can you say you know in a lifetime? I think only one. For over 30 years, Frank has brought colour and life and brilliant ideas to countless Canberra clients and charities and to all his friends. He's contributed hugely to Canberra and has achieved some fantastic things. I consider myself incredibly lucky to have worked out and partied and shared great friendship with the best of Francois for the last 20 of those years. Who else can blindingly outshine a girl at a black tie evening? Who else can smoke 10 cigarettes at once in the most creative and public way? Who else could get away with that licorice all sorts lycra? I send my love and congratulations to you, Francois. I wish I could be there tonight, but please know I have a big smile on my face as I revisit 20 years of fabulous Francois memories. You've earned iconic status, and I hope you love your portrait and have a wonderful night. Jo Spencer. So I'll put the other hat on as myself, as the other twin. And I was thinking what to say, and it was a little difficult, and I thought I'd do an impromptu, but at the last moment over a coffee this afternoon, I did write something out. I don't think you're going to have to hit the bullshit button, which actually I gave to Frank, because I'm not going to go over 2 minutes. Oh, okay. Thank you.
I didn't do it.
That's okay, Timo, thank you. And iconic Francois. Well, I'm so pleased to tell you all about the man behind the painting, or should I say, icon. I've known Frank for just over 25 years, first as a client, then as a friend. We've shared a house, affectionately known as Cottage Maralinga, Actually, it was at Hopeton Circuit, when Frank used to start his day each morning with 2 Tim Tams and a glass of Lucozade. That's okay. But what of this man? I've decided to choose few words as Frank stands out from the crowd. But let me share my words tonight. Perhaps you can see them in the painting. Some obvious, others not. Caring, compassionate, funny, creative, left field. Party man, cheeky, adventurous, irreverent, deep, sensitive, and a truly solid friend. Loyal as. So I invite you all to try to find these observations that I have penned in the painting this evening. And thanks to Barbara, and thanks to all of you.
Well done, Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. Oh, I'm going to end up blubbering, aren't I? God. Peter, this is my good friend Peter De Decker, who is the head of the Discipline of Design at the University of Canberra. He knows me from my work with the institution, with students, and with the Design Institute. Thank you, Peter.
I have to say that Francois and I go back for more years than I care to admit to. In fact, I had an interview at Quantum Ideas Bureau on the 21st of March 1983.
Oh shit, we didn't employ you?
I didn't get the job.
It was your English.
He hasn't forgotten, Frank. He remembers.
He's a graphic designer, Frank.
I remember. Anyway, Francois asked me to talk about his educational career in the ACT. So this is how it came about. While I was involved with the environmental design area at CIT, it was traditional to invite a designer of good repute and renown to open our students' end-of-year exhibition.
Oh, yeah. They weren't available.
And again, to be precise, on the 5th of December 1991, it was suggested to ask Frank Arnold, designer extraordinaire, to do the job. The speech delivered that night was, to say the least, very passionate.
He did it!
The speech was very passionate and very memorable. Of course, Frank was his true self. He gave a very colorful delivery, full of many politically dubious references, tinged with sexual undertones. Many parents and members of the community were taken aback. Teachers didn't know where to look, but the students were enraptured and clung to every word. Frank had motivated these young people to look at the life of a designer as an exhilarating, inspirational, joyful career, which not only could fulfill their own life, but improve the lives of those around them. Students have been asking for Frank ever since. I must confess, we had considerable grumblings that year from the officialdom, but because of the positive reaction from the students, I realized Frank would be a motivational tutor, and against my better judgment, invited him to guest lecture the final year students. This has been so successful that I have not let him off the hook to this very day. He is creating havoc right now with the interior design students at the University of Canberra. Frank has instant rapport with students. They seem to be on the same wavelength. His passion is infectious, and he's able to open their minds and push their creativity to the limit, bringing out the best of each and every one of them. He draws them out of the ordinary and mundane into the spectacular. Frank's, I'm becoming emotional.
I'm doing the same. I've got a hanky.
Frank's classroom techniques may be unusual and controversial, but nonetheless, they are based on mutual respect and honesty. He makes design fun and exciting. Equal enjoyment can be derived by designing an humble, down part, or a large, complex community project. His enthusiasm and inhibition are intoxicating, and his audience is captivated. Through his exemplary knowledge and wide experience of the design disciplines, he gives positive, constructive criticism. He may be strict, but he's always fair. He advocates the relevance of clients' relationships and good practice, and his students love him for it. Francois, let's say, certainly can be loud, controversial, and eccentric, and you all agree with me. But he unselfishly gives of himself, and together with his wild enthusiasm, how can one help but love and respect him?
Rolling. Are we right now?
Rolling.
Rolling? Yep. You want me to go slowly because it's just winding up, or is it at full speed now? Okay. My wonderful buddy and friend, the lovely Gary Wilson, who knows me through the graphic design industry. We met as business associates, but we have formed a fantastic friendship. And I love his guts big time. And I asked him if he would come and talk to me.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you. Congratulations. This is a very hard act to follow. But as Frank indicated, I'm from Melbourne, but I come here regularly to Canberra. And some years ago, I decided that travelling by my motor car, driving up, was the best way to go because I could leave late in the afternoon from my office in South Melbourne, stay overnight at the Three Amigos in Canberra and have a slice of chocolate cake and a medium sort of to rotten steak, and then continue on into Canberra early the next morning. But it also gives me the opportunity of indulging one of my greatest passions. I'm a child of the 60s. In 1968, I suddenly found myself in San Francisco and at Woodstock and never came home for 18 years. It was the musical, I feel sorry for anybody not of age in the 60s, because musically it was the greatest. Musically, I think it was the greatest time of all. So when Frank sprung this on me, I thought, what will I do? So I stopped in Yass. What a wonderful place. So I sat outside a horrible cafe drinking a terrible cafe latte, and I took the napkin from the coffee thing, and I thought I should really, put something together. So in that motor car, one of the reasons I do drive is it gives me a chance to listen to all these CDs of great 60s music. And I particularly like the song Charlene sings it, and it's called I've Never Been to Me. For those of you that are interested, it's track 2 on disc 1 of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, the musical. And we are at Art Space M16. Oh no, that's right. So anyway, to quote a line, and I thought this was most appropriate for Frank, to quote a line from that song, Charlene singing I've Never Been to Me, she says, well, she actually says she, but so he moves like Harlow in Monte Carlo, and he showed him what he's got. That's Frank. That's Frank. What do you mean? I've seen it and nearly fucking fainted. That, of course, all that dancing with Harlow in Monte Carlo, that, of course, that would have stood him in really good stead for an extended season at the Kennedy Room. Frank was there every night. And this can be attested by myself and Laura from Grande's when we thought Frank was dead. We really did think he was dead, but he wasn't. He was in bed with 2 blondes. And I only know that because I saw a lady's handbag beside the bed and 6 feet sticking out. Anyway. But, Laura has become our constant provider of food on Thursday, Friday and Saturday, and I suspect the rest of the week when I'm not here. But tonight, really, is not only about Frank, but it's also about the painter, I think, Barbara van der Linden. Yeah. Now, as you've probably already figured out, I'm no Edmund Capon. Good. But the portrait, I think Barbara has definitely captured the true character of one of the most generous, quirky people I have ever met in my life. And Frank and Barbara.
Thank you, Gary. I was actually only in bed with one of the women, the other was on the living room couch. No, I have my responsibility. I take them very seriously. I was supposed to have lunch at 1 o'clock with Gary, and when I got the phone call, he said, "Look, where are you?" And I said, "I'll be there in 10. I probably passed out for another 4.5 hours, and ended up making it for dinner, at which time he decided he needed to lecture me about behaving myself. But this is a guy from the printing industry and the paper industry in Melbourne, who, for most of his life, never behaved himself, and was at Woodstock and can't remember one band's name. That proves he was there. I have one last person, a wonderful, wonderful mate of mine, who I've asked to speak, and he knows me from my cultural, manic, messing up, theatrical side of my life, and that's the lovely Dominic Miko.
Thanks, darling.
Timo, the 5 minutes starts now. Get that button ready.
Hang on, you never hugged me.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've all heard a little bit about Frank's past and his future. No, not yet. But I must say, and I must here take full responsibility for what Frank has turned into. I take it very seriously.
So it's your fault.
Yeah, it is. In the early 70s, I was running a thing called Blue Folk, and we had auditions. And this skinny guy, not much different from what you see now, turned up with a guitar, which he couldn't play, and proceeded to sing, which wasn't very good, and he auditioned. Anyway, I had the job of telling him that it might be better if he decided in a career of being famous, being a designer, and not being a singer. So I'm responsible for what he has turned out.
Destroying my musical career.
Yeah. Hope you feel better. Yeah, but look what he's turned into. He's turned into the famous Francois. Now everybody knows Francois. It's a personality cult. It's known around Canberra. He's known around, you know, everybody.
He's wanted in 10 states.
I tell you, this is a true story.
Not needed.
This is a true story. We're sitting at Grundy's having lunch on Saturdays, as we normally do, getting boozed, and we'd see this girl, and we started talking, and she joined our table. She said, "Oh my God, you're the famous Francois." I couldn't believe it. He didn't even open his mouth, and it was true. It was true. Now, Frank, we proceeded from there after destroying his early career, stage one. We got together and we found a way of losing more money than two people ever found before. It was amazing. It was amazing the amount of money that we could lose. We opened a performing arts cafe and we lost it. So my friendship goes back to about 1973. You know, an image that always stays with me is when we had to confront some people we owed money to, and after we went to them, Frank at the time was driving a Porsche. He had a Porsche, and the guy said, "No, can I see you a moment?" And I said, "Oh, he wants to see me, Frank." He said, no, only you. And he said, "I suggest next time you come, you don't come with the guy who drives the Porsche." I said, "But he's my partner." He said, "Forget the Porsche, don't drive that." So, Frank, now, there's one thing I need to say about the portrait. Barbara's taken on a big project here, and I don't know whether it's really, you know, but I'm more modest than Frank. I don't know how big the icons are, whether, you know, but all right. When the centenary comes along, we're going to be celebrating a lot of things. But one thing that I think will really stand out in this is the Barbara's project. It's going to be shown at a number of galleries, including come along. But I was sort of thinking of Barbara. I was wondering whether, you know Picasso? Yeah, I just sort of had the image where Barbara started off these portraits, which are really amazing. Look at the spirit. You really see the spirit of the person in them. But I was wondering whether they become more abstract as they go along, so that they, end up that you get to look at. What's that?
Exactly.
Frank, we're safe. We're safe. We made it in the early part, mate. Yeah. Sorry, Barbara, but
It's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So the next role I have to do is I have to go over here to the lovely Hazel and help her up here.
This is my mum, ladies and gentlemen.
And
my mum brought me into this world. She can unveil me.
how did you do it? I don't know. And,
Well, yes. I've got a couple of things
got to say a
to
couple
say.
words.
I've got a couple of things to say.
Say it all, Hazel. Say it all.
The first year he was born, I nearly committed suicide. I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I didn't, because he's been a lovable boy ever since. He gets up to mischief, and the one word that describes my son is flamboyant, and that's how he's going to be all his life, I think. We can't change it. It's been fun, it's been hard work. But he has struggled, and I often say he didn't come from under a cabbage. And I love him.
You sure?
I love him dearly. So if you want to see the picture, and I've seen it, sorry, Barbara, and it's beautiful, and this artist has done a wonderful job. There you are. Thank you, Barbara. It's wonderful.
Speech from the artist. Congratulations.
The portrait gallery. Cheers. Oh, hang on. Hang on, you've got to get another one. Yeah. If I could just have you. Hello! Hello! If I could just have your attention for one second. I am so flattered to have been asked. It is an amazing experience getting your portrait painted, especially when you are selected to have it painted. It's incredibly, you get nervous, you get tingly. When I saw this for the first time in Barbara's studio, I welled up. I was going to burst into tears. I'm so wrapped in it. But what I'm also amazed about is like the honour that she does me as an artist, choosing to spend however many hours it takes to paint a portrait of me for a project that she's chosen to do. It's an extraordinary thing, and I reckon, you know, support her as much as you can. I want to thank my mum. You know, the bugger has gone and beaten me to buy it. And I told her, I said, no, Mum, I'm buying it. And she said, no. And this is what mums do to you. She said, you know, Frank, it would give me the greatest degree of pleasure if I could buy this portrait for you. So I toured up with the idea of saying, well, fuck your pleasure. Suffer. But I could not. I mean, how could you possibly not? But it's, and I want to thank your mum. So, Barbara, big round of applause for everyone. And thank you all so much for coming. I am really doubly honoured by the amount of people that turned up just to see a bit of a painting of me. And not just my house. Thanks so much, and keep enjoying the hospitality. Hey.
Let's have a drink to that.
I reckon. Absolutely. Well,
You're amazing.
Congratulations. I'm Barbara's brother.
That's my little brother.
Your little brother.
It's fantastic.
That was really interesting.
What did you think?
Oh, I love it. It is him. It is him.
It's sensational, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Well, what about the dummy?
I did nearly commit suicide the first year he was born. He was a bugger of a kid.
What was it? What was it so difficult?
Oh, he cried.
What was it about? He cried all the time?
He slept part of the day and then he didn't want to sleep all night. He had us up all night.
Did he have a pacifier?
Eh?
Did he have a pacifier?
Yeah, he threw it in the fire.
Getting myself in the mood.
It looks like it. Right now, which one's your name? Which one's the real Frank?
Oh, thank you, darling.
That's okay.
I fucking love it. I absolutely love it.
Waiting for him to finish.
Sorry?
Waiting for him to finish.
Oh, so the light. Can you hold the light off so we can?
Comes from his great-grandmother, Sybil, Alexandra Sybil, and she exhibited in the London Art Gallery. And Frank has two paintings of hers in his house upstairs in the lounge. She had fits. She was a bit of a woman. The police returned her home one night. She went to the London Art Gallery and wanted to get her paintings all back. And she couldn't get in, so she created a bit of a stir and they took her home. She died later on, after Mum and Dad left England. She had a fit and fell into an open fire and was burnt badly. So that's what happened to her. Mum met my father and she went out with him because he had a motorbike. And she and Dad migrated from England in 1928 with a baby girl and a little baby boy. Before they reached Cape Town, the little boy died of seasickness. And they got to Melbourne, and as their stuff was being unloaded from the boat in Melbourne, one of the crates fell out and smashed on the wharf, and it got kicked into the sea, and they didn't keep it. They went to Melbourne to stay with Mum's brother, who had a job for them. By the time he got there was no job. So he went down the Mount, Dad went down the Mount Lyell mine, and Mum went cleaning houses. And then they came back, Dad came across to the mainland, and he got work at Mittagong in the railway yard, and they lived in a tent there for 6 months. Then they came to Queanbeyan, and Dad got work at the railway there, and they lived in a 2-storey corrugated iron hut. Downstairs was full of rats and dirt and everything else. And Mum had a baby girl in 1929, lived 4 hours. We find out after Mum died. Her grave was washed away in the Queanbeyan Cemetery in the big floods. Then I was born in 1932, and my mother carried me around in a shoebox on cotton wool for 3 or 4 months. She took me up to the church to get me christened, and she didn't have 2 shillings for the minister. So she walked home, got across the Queanbeyan Bridge. There's a little church just down to the right-hand side. And she stopped and sat on the wall and was crying her eyes out, and the minister asked her, what she was doing, what she was crying for, and she said, I haven't got 2 shillings for the baby to be christened. So he said, come on in and I'll christen her for Nix. So I'm a Methodist. So that's how life rolled on, and that's where Frank gets his artistic from. And I really did mean it. I nearly did commit suicide the first year he was born, and he was a big...
We've not only got his artistic thing in common, we've also got something else. That perseverance, that doggedness, that determination.
Yeah.
From your mother and your father.
I think he got his kindness from my mother. My mother was a lovely lady. How she put up with my father, I don't know. But her family did not want her to marry him. And then he said he was riding 19 miles in the morning on his bike to work and 19 miles home at night. And he said, Lothis, I'm going to Australia. So they packed up and went. And Mum would never have gone back. So there you are.
What's the patting on the shoulder for?
Because you're a doll.
That's an amazing story. It's so amazing.
It's true, darling. There are so many people in that era. When you think about it, all the neighbours used to save up money to buy petrol to put in Dad's old truck, go up the top of Bungendore Hill, and then fill it up with wood, and then neutral down back into town. Up on Bungendore Hill, 1933. Yeah, it was hard lines.
But then what I'm saying is that I said Hazel has to say this because future generations, our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren, need to know that it wasn't always easy, you know?
Well, Frank said to me the other day, I wish I'd had a brother. And I said, well, I miscarried with the first child, and it was a little boy, but I was in a farmhouse on my own out at Ginninderra, and I miscarried. It was a little baby boy, but it was dead. So it happened. And then I thought about it afterwards. Marion was born in 1960, and there were 2 afterbirths, and they couldn't explain it. So it's really funny. It's life.
It's funny, isn't it?
No.
It's a strange thing to happen. It happens.
We're so glad that you had Frank.
I'm glad I didn't commit suicide.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You didn't kill him, you know?
Well, was I me or him?
Oh, my God.
Darling, you're lovely.
I'm glad you both survived. I love you, Hazel.
Hazel, oh, sorry, do you mind me interrupting? Sorry, Mabel. Hazel, this is Sandra. Sandra wanted to have a chat to you and to show you. Have you seen these bookmarks?
Have you got a
one of
bookmark?
these?
No.
Look at
No.
this.
You need one.
Look at that with Frank on
Oh,
the
they're
bookmark.
brilliant.
Yeah, have one of those.
Wow.
Aren't they great?
Yeah, aren't they stunning? No, we were just talking about Frank. I mean, I'm a local from Canberra. I mean, I went to school here. Can't say I was born here. So when did you guys come to Canberra?
1936.
Oh, say no more.
It's a while ago.
I'm just going to get one of those 50-year memberships.
I came in
Yeah.
1986, 50 years later.
From the citizenship.
From the citizenship thing. I've got the form in my bag.
So where were you originally when you first came?
When we first came, we came into Bialigo Plant Farm, where Mr. Cleary is, and I've given him the photos of the old house when we first moved in.
Oh, wow.
And he's just wrapped. Dad built a 30-foot well out there because we had no water, and we carted water originally. But Mum wanted to get away from Queanbeyan, and my father used to go around and pick up all the drunks at the hotels just before 6 o'clock, so they didn't have to pay 2 shillings to get them out of the locker.
Was he a policeman or what?
No, he was just... No, he owned a little sawmill with Dan Rayner. in Queanbeyan in Atkinson Street. And all the neighbours used to get together, not like nowadays.
Community, huh?
It was a community in Atkinson Street. I can remember down the street and up the other side, the McLeods with 9 girls and all that sort of thing. Yeah. So it was...
Gosh, you really are an old Canberra family, aren't you?
Yeah, well, we lived at Pialigo till 1962, I think.
Nearly 30 years in Pialigo.
Yeah, nearly 30 years in Pialigo.
And did you have a nursery or you just lived there? You didn't grow stuff?
We lived there and I went to Duntroon School to make up the numbers.
Duntroon
School?
to
Public school. Duntroon Public
fantastic.
School is, we went there. And now ASIO's wrecked it with one of their training missions out there and it's a mess. And it's a shame. It really was. Mr. Jones was a wonderful, wonderful teacher. He had 6 classes in the one room and we had a little wood heater. We had to keep putting stuff in or go out down the river and see if we could get some wood. It's all sort of, but it was more community. Everybody helped. We swapped. When Frank was born, we swapped prams, we swapped cots, all that sort of
Where
thing.
was Frank born, at the hospital or was he
at the old Canberra hospital?
The old Canberra, it's been imploded.
Yeah, the one on the island.
Yeah, the imploded.
Horrible building.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Hideous.
No, they should never have knocked that
Wasn't that
old
the one Kate Carnell knocked down?
Yes.
Well, no, it was imploded, remember?
Yes, and that little girl got killed.
Yeah.
That little girl, Bender. Yeah, the little girl Bender got killed that day.
That's
it was
right.
dreadful.
Awful.
Just how unlucky was that? Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Yeah, I'm handing Mark's my friend, so I'm
She's done an amazing.
She's lovely.
Don't you think she's captured him like
yeah,
the
this
essence?
is her best. This is her best so far.
What do you think, Barbara? It's
Yeah,
like
she did me a couple of years ago, but yeah, no, this is stunning.
But he, I think they clicked.
Yeah.
Sort of. Sometimes you don't click with people.
But if you look at his eyes, Frank's eyes, they're just, you can just walk, he's looking at you.
Yeah.
His eyes are brilliant. She really gets the eyes right. She's just so good on that.
She's a lovely lady.
Yeah, she's a sweetie.
I just said to her, have you seen Frank's painting? It's wonderful. And she said, oh, I'm glad you said that because I painted it.
Oh, you hadn't met that until then.
After then, no.
And how gorgeous to buy it for him. Aren't you a sweetie? You're going to give it to him or are you going to keep it at your place?
No,
painting. Oh, okay, you're going to give it to him.
I was asking where was he going to hang it. And he's suggesting some places.
The toilet.
No. You know where I think it's going to go best? Upstairs, above the fireplace.
No.
No, you don't think so? Where do you think it'll go well? He said his office, and I went, that'd be too crowded because it's a painting you actually
Have you
have
got
to stand
stairs?
back.
Have you got
Yeah,
stairs?
the stairs, yeah.
No, at the top.
No, it's a big window.
No, it's a big window.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
You can't put it on the top.
We'll find a spot.
So where's the spot?
Yeah, where is it? Well, I know a pub called The Spot. It's in Sydney Road in Brunswick, actually.
Just move something.
Look, he was Frank William Arnold, and one night they all got drunk and changed his name in the telephone book to Francois.
That wasn't all of us, that was him. I remember doing that.
You're gorgeous thing.
Not,
You are. You're beautiful. You're beautiful.
Don't hog around in a couple of well.
I nearly did commit suicide first year.
I'm not surprised.
He was in
What
your-
retarded that action?
I'm glad I didn't.
Must have been touch and go.
Yeah, it was touch and go.
We understand, Hazel. We understand.
You do?
Yeah, we do, darling. Anyway, it's lovely to see you.
Lovely
You
to
look
see you
gorgeous
too,
as
darling.
always.
See you later.
Beautiful.
See you, darling.
Take care.
God bless.
See you later.
Manuel, I've had enough photos tonight now.
I love you. Everybody that has met you tonight is just amazed at how wonderful my mum is.
Don't worry.
Hazel,
All right. We're going to create
no, we're not.
We're going to start a
taking any
rumour,
notes.
aren't we?
Yes, we are. We'll walk out together.
What did you think of his portrait?
I thought his portrait showed him as he really is.
Here comes the bride.
Now, wait a minute. You're acting as though you had too much to drink.
Oh, yes.
We're talking about the portrait of your son.
And what was he like?
I think it really showed him as he really is. His age, his lines, his abuses on his body. Yeah, it was all there.
Do I know
Is that all? That's all you see, the
all.
abuses and the...
No, I think it was... No, it's a lovely portrait.
How does it compare with your portrait?
Well, I think that I was more regal in a sort of Romanesque emperor type of way.
Yeah, with the smoking, the floor.
Don't tell him that.
I won't tell him.
Yeah.
You've lost Hazel, she's gone.
Hazel, I was supposed to walk her to a car.
What did you think of the painting?
You've got very bright lights.
Look at the lights. Look at me.
Okay, that's
Look at
very
me.
scary.
Yeah, look at me. So tell me about
Frank
it.
is a wonderful, beautiful person, and I love him dearly, and he's a very close, dear friend, and he deserves all the accolades he can ever get.
Do you think she did him justice?
Absolutely. That is Frank to a T. Good night! Drive safe! Yep, absolutely.
She bought some place down on Mornington Peninsula.
Yeah, she did. Years ago.
Yeah. Because I knew.
Do you know what? There's one thing I thought about it.
That was good.
You know the Kung Fu guy? What is his name? Yep, it's got a real similar look to David Harrody.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, I knew this guy.
For me.
David Upford. And David Upford's cousin.
But it's Frank to a T.
Yeah.
But I've always thought that about Frank. There's always this, I don't know if it's Zen master come lunatic or Zen master go wrong. It's almost the opposite of David Harrody. That could be, what is it, the yin and yang of each other or something like that. And that's enough, Emmanuel. You know I hate
What was he
being
like
all
working with?
over.
What was he like working with?
I didn't know, he was fantastic. Okay. He worked you hard, but you wanted to work hard for him because he always supported you and rewarded you and looked after you. And it was Quantum's my family. It's still my family, even though I'm not working there anymore. It's still, he's still part of my family. He always will be. I've known him. Do you know I've known him since 1987?
Oh, yeah, she's still there.
And he taught me at TAFE. And we went, didn't like a relationship going out, but we used to go out on the town and do stuff together. He introduced me to lots of people, everything. I've gone on my way, then joined Quantum, and then I've gone on my own way again. But we ring each other regularly and talk to each other, and we still love each other. I can ring him up and say, oh, I've got teary eyes, oh, Frank, what am I going to do? And he's like, just looks after me and cares for me, and he's great. He's fantastic. I'm not repeating myself. He is. So it hasn't changed.
What did you mean to say?
That he's a night owl and he's still one. But I didn't get that in. Did I?
No, you didn't get that in.
Have you seen the pictures upstairs?
That's
told me, it still moves me because we have had so much in our life. Okay, as kids, we didn't have as much as kids do now, but we haven't suffered. Really, we didn't suffer at all. No. Okay, there was a bit of shortage of money, but we didn't go without. No. And I think that's built on and built on with our children and our grandchildren. They have everything. They don't know hardship.
They wouldn't survive if there was a depression.
No, but if they hear stories like this, they can understand that people survive. People are very ingenious,
It
and they
wasn't
can
the
do
stress
things.
of nowadays, darling.
No, but in a different
Yeah,
way.
different way, yes.
I mean,
Yes, I
why
agree.
do we have so much stress these days? Because
You've got to wear helmets, you've got to have this, and you've got to have a car seat for a certain child. And
you got
all those extra
All
things
those-
we didn't have to. We couldn't have got them.
couldn't have got them.
No.
I remember I got three brothers, and two a lot older than me, building billy carts, and we're in the centre of the road down the hill, brakes, I mean, really.
Exactly.
Climbing trees, and down the creek and
making slingshots.
Yeah.
I used to go to old Mrs. Day's at Westlake, and she was the end house, and Cork Hills lived just down the hill.
Oh, right.
And we used to go there, and Mum and the gang would get busy betting on the horses. And we'd go down and find all these golf balls along the river.
Oh, yeah.
along the Longlow River.
Yeah. I mean,
oh, yes.
Such a different time, isn't it?
It's a
But I
different
think it's
time.
really important, those stories, for our children and our grandchildren. I was
Are
telling
you going to say it to yours?
Yeah.
So, has it been a good time?
What?
In your time? I mean, you're now, how old are you now?
I get it over bloody 80 next year.
An OBE.
Excellent, congratulations.
Yep.
I don't think I'm going to make it.
Of course you are. Oh, God, you'll be here for a while, yeah.
So your 80 years that you've been living are from very humble, tough beginnings
Yeah,
to
but
now where, it's a different world, isn't it?
it is a completely different world, Emmanuel, because I am happy with all the stupid decisions I've made, that I've ended up where I am, and I'm happy. And that's you have to be. Life can be so hard for some people, and yeah, life was hard for us when we were girls. Dad wanted 3 boys. He lost his little boy on the way out from England. He's buried at sea before you get to Cape Town. He was buried at sea. He died of seasickness. He was too young to bring a baby out.
It's heartbreaking.
So, them were the days. So, do you want to go upstairs and do this bit?
Let's do
Yeah,
that bit, huh?
let's do
You
that.
can't tell the truth.
Yeah, am I ever?
What do you do here on Thursdays when you come?
Nothing. I've just stripped his bed, his king-size bed, and I've emptied all the bins, and I've put the rubbish bin out, and I've tidied up both kitchens.
So you do something. You make yourself useful, huh?
Emmanuel, I sometimes wonder if he really wants me here. But the washing up in the kitchen and all those sort of things.
I'm sure he loves you.
See?
Having you here.
Yeah.
So tell us about these.
These were painted by my grandmother, my mum's mother. And when she died in 1934, these are the only 2 paintings my mother got out of the London Art Gallery that came to Australia for her. And Frank's the artist, and he inherits from both grandmothers, but this one was the one that exhibited in the London Art Gallery, and she had epileptic fits, and she got arrested because she went into the London Art Gallery and tried to break in to make sure her pictures were safe, and she got taken home. And when my mother was 14, this dear lady had an epileptic fit and fell in an open fire and was killed. So that happened. My mum had to finish up school and look after 3 girls and a brother and her father. So that's what happened there.
So, do you know anything about your grandmother?
Who are these 2 girls?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
I
Yeah.
don't know. We haven't got a clue. Mum never told us.
Oh, right.
But Mum wanted Frank to have them when they were here, and she said Frank might as well have them. He's the only artist in the family, so that's what they are. I've got a sneaking suspicion that this one is Mum's older sister. I've got a sneaking suspicion, but I haven't got a clue about this one. But she apparently, look, you can't paint like that. Yeah, no. But yeah, so these arrived and Mum had them framed. So they just arrived on paper, on the cardboard or whatever it is behind there.
Wow.
So were they, when you say the National Gallery?
The National Gallery in London.
The Royal Art Gallery in London. So that's where they were, and she got into trouble. She tried to break in to make sure her pictures were safe. But she was a bit eccentric.
Yeah.
Then she had an epileptic fit and fell in an open fire. That must have been terrible for my mother.
Oh, shocking.
Yes, and they were sort of a professional family. They didn't want my mother to marry Dad, but he had a motorbike. So she married him in 1925, 26, somewhere around then. Then she had a little baby girl, 25 she got married. A year later she had a girl, and then 1927 she had a little baby boy, and in 1928 on February they took off for Australia because Dad was riding 19 miles on a bike in the snow to get to work and coming back home the same way, and he said, we're going to Australia. So they packed up and came to Australia. Mum had a brother in Hobart, married with 2 kids, and he said he had a job for Dad, but by the time Dad arrived in Australia at Melbourne, he'd lost the little baby boy and went down in the lifesavers boat over the side with the minister and him and the baby, and it was buried at sea before they reached Cape Town. So then they came along in the roaring 40s and landed in Melbourne, and while they were getting their gear unwrapped, one of the crates fell down and crashed onto the wharf, and it got kicked into the sea, and was all the baby's clothes and things Mum wanted. And Mum was so shocked by Australia. Anyway, they went to Hobart, stayed with her brother, and Dad went down the mines mining at Mount Lyell, I think it was, in northern Tasmania. Mum went cleaning, and Dad came up out of the mine one day and he said, no, the mine wasn't him, shut off like that, and he was terrified. And he came across to the mainland, and Mum followed him across to Mittagong, and they lived in a tent in the railway yard for about 2 years. Came to Queanbeyan, and they lived in a 2-storey corrugated iron place on Derrama Road in Queanbeyan, which has been knocked down, and there's flats there now. But there were rats downstairs, and Mum and Dad were upstairs. Then Dad moved over to Atkinson Street into a little house they put a deposit on, and he met Stan Rayner, lived across the road, and they bought shares in the sawmill just up the road, and it had to be sold to Donahue and Hopkins during the Depression. And then Mum got some money from the estate because her father died, and she said, we're going into Canberra because they'd been on. She had Avis and she had me, and then she had Francis as well in 1934. So in 1934 we moved to Pialigo, which was Fishwick in those days, to Block 12, which is now Pialigo Plant Farm. And Mum got away from all the drunks. My father used to go around at 5:45 at night and pick up all the drunks because they didn't have 2 shillings to thing. And Mum took me to get me christened, and the minister said to her, it'll cost you 2 shillings. and she didn't have 2 shillings, so she walked back across the old Queanbeyan Bridge and down, there's a little church just there, a Methodist church, and she sat on the wall and she was crying because she wasn't well, and she had me in a shoebox on cotton wool, and Dad reckons I was the determined little blighter right from the start, and the minister came out and asked her what she was crying for, and she said she didn't have 2 shillings to get me christened. And he said, come in and I'll do you for Nick. So I'm a Methodist and I've got christened for 2 shillings, for nothing, for nothing into the Methodist. So it was hard lines for Mum and Dad when they got here, Annette. Really was. You think about it, it's a long way to come, and on the ship you couldn't heat a bottle between 11 and 3 during the day. There was salt water for the nappies to be washed in, and they got hard, and the men were one side of the ship and the women were the other. And this night, just to tell you just how hard my father was at times, Mum went across to the men's quarters and banged on his cabin and asked him to come round and help with the babies. And he came round and he smacked both their bottoms and went back to his bed. Next morning the baby was dead. So yeah, so it just, you think about those sort of things, and he was tough in those days, but he'd lost his little baby boy. And to come all that way, away from her family, yeah. So Dad had one brother in England. They were bits of larrikins. They sailed down the banister from upstairs playing pirates, and Dad said, let's kill the old bugger, and sailed down the banister and crashed on top of their mother. And he nearly got killed for that. So those sort of things happened.
Yeah.
But lots of times, and when Mum and Dad were up the coast living at Gwandolin, Dad used to get up every morning and say, I've got you for another day. And just give her a morning kiss, and they must have loved one another very much. He wrote to her from Randwick when he got called into the army in 1941, and he said, this is a beautiful spot. I'd love to bring you down here. I still love you. So, you know, he was a funny bod at times. Yeah. Yeah. So what else do you want?
So let's get back to your mother.
My mum, she was the sweetest soul. She really was. She battled out there on the farm on her own from 1941 to end of 1945. And of a morning, I hopped on the bike and I had 4 billy cans of milk to deliver around Duntroon and then ride to high school at the old Canberra High School, which is now the Arts Council. And then I'd come back of an afternoon, pick up the billies, take them home. We knitted like mad in khaki wool. Mum had us all knitting. Yeah, she kept the place going because Dad told her to move into town, but she wouldn't because, yeah, she just wanted the place to be there when he came back. Yeah, we worked hard. Actually, when you look back, it was good. It stood us in good stead for things that were coming along in future. But no, we did well. Avis ended up marrying a fellow down at Penrith. Dad didn't like him because he had brown eyes. Yeah, so it's yeah. And then they ended up at 29 Banner Street. They sold the place at Fishwick still in those days, and came into Banner Street. Something.
So, forget the little sidetrack there.
So what are we doing now?
So, you said there was 2 things. One was I wanted you to talk more about your mother and
yes,
her
she
mother.
was. Yes.
So, did she talk about her mother?
Not very much, no. Dad offered to take Mum back home at one stage. That was about 1975. And she said no, she didn't want to go because her mum and dad had gone by then. And her sister came out from England to see them. And yeah, she was different to Mum. Mum was a soft, gentle lady. Although one day down the farm had all these potty calves staked out, and one of them was running around and got the rope tangled round. So she picked up the peg and hit it between the little new horns, and it passed out. And she ran up the paddock, bring a bucket of water, quick, I've killed the male calf. Dad'll kill me. Those sort of things you think about later on and you laugh about it.
Yeah, but at the time.
Dad dug a 32-foot well, which I believe is still out there, down. He got some 40-gallon drums, cut them, and he made one 4 inches narrower than the other, stacked them on top, filled them up with concrete. As they sank, he filled up another lot and brought it up, and he cemented the whole lot, 32 feet. But Avis had gone down the well a few times to fix the pump, and I went down when Avis was at work. I went down, came home from school, went down to help Dad. Dad wants a hand, so I went down the well. The board broke under me and Dad grabbed me by my plaits and my back of my head, pulled me up out of the mud, and I came up the paddock looking like this, covered in mud, and Mum said, "That's the last time the girls go down the well." So we didn't go down the well again. It was lovely.
So get back to your grandmother and your mother.
Yes, they were both much similar ladies, but I think Mum felt that she was strange. My grandmother was strange. Yeah. Well, look at this, strange. I am. I'm getting into trouble all the time. Emmanuel, I am.
So when did she talk about that at all?
What? Her mum having... Oh, she told us about her having the epileptic fit and falling into the fire and how destroyed she was to have to give up work and stay home at 14. And
so it's 14 when it happened?
At 14 when... Mum was 14 when it happened, yeah. And I think Mum felt that she was the wrong one to stay home. One of her other sisters was a bit of a lazy bones. But anyway, her father decided that she was the one to stay home. I think he felt that she could look after the place better. She took more care. I mean...
And where was this?
That was in England, at Middlesex.
And the name of the village in Middlesex?
Oh, God, Manuel, I forgot all about this. I can't remember, but I can't remember. Ashford. That comes to light. Ashford in Middlesex.
And your grandfather was doing what when his wife died?
He was an accountant or something in a bank. He was a professional man. I've got a picture of the house where they lived. It was 2-storey, a real nice English home. Plenty of land around it and beautiful garden. They had a gardener come in. But no, I don't know. Frank's grandmother on the other side had TB, and she died in 1931 of TB at in the Blue Mountains. I can't think of the name of the place, but Broughton Hall in the Blue Mountains, and she died. And Keith, the baby, had meningitis, and he passed through the meningitis as his mother died. was really strange, apparently. Yeah, that's what my father-in-law told me. He was a dear old man. He really was, yeah. I got on so well with my father-in-law. And his wife had died. So all her paintings, because she had TB, they filled their mouths with whiskey and they laid her out on the front porch of this house, and they went into the backyard and burnt every one of her paintings bar one little one, which is a picture of Austinmere down the coast.
Why did they do that?
Because it was supposed to be a disease, a dangerous disease. So they burnt all her paintings. They bought them out of the Arts Council, and everything was taken into the backyard and burnt. And it was very sad. But
So that was Frank's other grandmother?
Frank's other grandmother, yeah. And her son went into Dalwood Homes for a year, and his father met a nurse there, and they ended up getting married. And they had a place at Camaray, and he died in 1952, yeah, 52. It was very sad. The 3 days after he retired, he died. It was criminal. And my grandmother died, my mother-in-law died in 1984. So, yeah. So life rolls on, Emmanuel.
So, and the other thing you mentioned was that little did you know it was preparing you for something, about the hard life that you were having.
Well, it stood us in good stead. We went home from school. We didn't play games or anything like that. We had to dig round fruit trees, clean out the bale, stack up the oats, go and dig potatoes, get down the back with a hoe and cut thistles. And we never went to the pictures like kids in town did. We just worked our butts off out on the farm. We picked peas and then sold them to the Capital Cafe in East Row for 3 cents, 3p a pound. 3p a pound for peas, and Dad bought me an ice cream because I went with him in the old truck. Yeah, so, you know, the three of us worked. Dad had Avis ploughing, he had me harrowing, he had me doing thistles, and he had Francis in the orchard digging round fruit trees with a fork, and we either had to clean out the chook yard or there was always something he had lined up for us for the weekend. In fact, I took a note home to my father from my teacher in primary school, from Duntroon Public School, and I gave it to my father. And did he go crook? Please don't send your daughter to school with sore arms from picking up stooks of oats with thistles in them, and I had the sorest arms. And he told him, he said, I'll contact the authorities if your daughter turns up in that state again. So that happened, yeah.
Did your father listen? Was he afraid, or...?
Oh, no, I don't think Dad was afraid of anything, really. No. I mean, the flood out there came right up, not far from the house. You wouldn't get that nowadays. I mean, we had turtles everywhere, little baby turtles everywhere. It was great fun. Yeah. But, yeah, Dad was a hard man, but I think he loved Mum. Deep down you could see it, but... Yeah, so...
Did he love you guys?
He never did tell us he loved us. He never did. No, never. He never did. He just...
Did he never get over the death of the baby boy?
I don't know. I think he must have had remorse about what he did. But, yeah... No, Dad wasn't the loving kind, although in the end, I used to be able to walk out on that front covered-in veranda up the coast and say, how you going, willy-nilly? And my 2 sisters thought that was frightening to do that, but I got away with it.
Yeah.
So you sort of think, and I was the one he rang if they got into any trouble. Oh. I was the one that did his tax returns, and I was the one that got him Veterans Affairs pension instead of what he was getting, and they never got Australian citizenship. They were English, and that was it. Dad used to make home brew out at Pialigo, and he had 300 bottles of home brew underneath the house, and every now and again you'd be in the house and you'd hear this pop. Something had blown downstairs. And even Jim Fraser came out and took home half a dozen bottles of home brew. Yes, it was just, Dad was into the Progress Association and into different things. He helped build the Cotter Dam, and he was an engine driver on the first tarmac that was put in for the airport. So, yeah, he got 6pence extra a day for going across the road to drive the engine. That was part of being out of your area. So, yeah, and he worked for the Department of Works. Yeah, helped build the Ainsley Football Club. Yeah, the original one. Yeah, so we had lots of friends, darling. Everybody knew everybody. Yeah, and I was only thinking the other day, a lot of my class from the Canberra High School, all gone. All gone. Aileen Curran, Josephine Kelleher from Betty Moore, Roma Wise was my best friend. Yeah, sort of different ones have gone. The boy Keeley is gone, and the only one I can think about that's still alive is Pat Lawless out at Gordon. And he was sitting in my class, and I used to think he was a gorgeous looking thing, but look at him now. Ah, darling.
How many cars you had in your time? How many cars?
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
What's this one? You like this one?
I love this one.
Yeah.
It's a good car. It's got a good pickup.
Good pickup.
Yeah. And I don't need all these extra buttons, no. You're not going to start filming right.
Well, I thought this car would be a good thing to start on the car. So you had no trouble driving?
No, but I'm thinking I will quietly give it up eventually. Not too long, because yesterday going home, a P-plater put on her blinker right beside me and started to come over, and then realised I was there, and we were slowing up for traffic lights, but she wanted to get through before the yellow light changed, and I was slowing for the yellow light, and she wasn't. She was going to go through. And I think I see a lot of idiots on the road, including me. Frank would say me.
No. So how many cars you had? 3?
3, yes, I had a...
Sorry, what was the first one?
A Toyota.
The Toyota.
He wouldn't... The bank wouldn't lend me the money for a Holden or a little hatchback, but they'd lend me the money for the Toyota Corolla. Yeah, and it was a good little car, but George wanted to trade his car in, and so I took his car and we sold mine. The Mazda I found hard work. Oh, this is my 4th one. I had a Mitsubishi, which was hard steering and made my shoulders ache. So I traded that in on, and I got the Mazda that time. That's where we sold it, because the Mitsubishi was hard work.
Which one was your favourite?
The first one I had, I think I was just so surprised. I learnt to drive, and it took me around, and I was able to pick up the grandkids from Queanbeyan when they were there. And yeah, it opened up a lot of opportunities.
So how old were you there when you first learned to drive?
44.
So you were late bloomer.
Late, yes, yes. Yeah, because we were stuck out on the farm, I had to learn to start the car up out there. We had an old ute, a Buick, an old Buick. There was one tree in a 5-acre paddock and I nearly hit it. But anyway, in case of accidents, I was supposed to be able to start the car and drive it. So eventually I didn't have a licence or anything, but on the farm it didn't matter. So yeah, so that was an experience.
So that was on the farm with your father or on the farm with your husband?
On the farm with my husband in 1953.
So Dad never taught you how to drive?
No. Oh no. Well, we didn't have a car for a long time. He rode his bike. But we did get a car when Gladys and Grandad came out from England. Dad bought an old truck with a covered canopy on the back. And they drove it to church every Sunday morning. And one Sunday morning they saw this shadow pass over the car as they crossed the railway lines. Gladys and Grandad.
They were flying through, were they?
They were going through to Mass. There you go.
So where in Pielago did you live?
Here.
Where?
There.
Where? I thought they shifted that in.
Hmm?
I didn't know. I thought you lived somewhere else.
No, here.
Where?
In that house. That house there. Yeah.
So where was the house when you lived here?
There, with the chimneys on it.
The chimneys on it.
That was the lounge room chimney and that was the kitchen chimney. We had a fuel stove and we had an open fire in the kitchen. So, and there was 3 girls, Dad and Mum.
And how big was the block of land?
I thought about 12 acres, but Avis tells me 11.
So was this whole big block?
The whole big block, right down nearly to the river, not quite to the river.
To the river, huh?
Yeah.
So
and we planted those flaming pine trees at 9 o'clock at night in the middle of winter. Dad brought them home and they had to go in the ground. We had to dig all the holes and have them ready. So he came home from work or wherever he'd been and Dad and I planted those bloody pine trees at 9 o'clock at night in winter.
You're kidding.
It was terrible.
Which pine trees?
Those ones there, those things that are huge.
Those little things?
Those little things, no.
So they were as old as you?
That was about 1947.
Really?
Yeah. Just to sort of break the wind, he said.
When those pine trees over there?
Yeah, no, I guess they were part of the program, but the ones at the back aren't. That one there would be, but they went right across the block.
What other trees did you plant?
Well, where we're standing used to be an orchard.
Is that right?
And there was almond trees up the front, then there were apple trees, pears, nectarines and quinces, and then the chook yard. The chook yard was possibly down about here. So, yeah, that's what happened. And the other side was almond trees again, apples, pears and quince trees, 4 or 5 quince trees down the back, and then the cow paddock.
So your dad planted all those?
Hmm?
Your dad planted them all?
Yeah, because there was nothing here when he came. Nothing much at all. Actually, when he came, he planted, there was nothing in the front there. He planted trees up both sides of the house, hedge, and a front hedge, and then he filled in the driveway on the far side, and we had 2 lanes of pine trees to drive in through to get round the back. And that was, there used to be a big dip down there, and they filled it in and put pipes under it but we used to all go down and sit at the bottom of the dip on the little bridge when we got time away from home.
Did you get much time away from home?
No,
What did you do?
we worked.
Doing what?
All of my friends at high school went to the pictures on Saturday afternoon. They went and played tennis on the high school courts. We didn't do any of that. We had to help Dad. The best part of my childhood was when Dad was in the army.
Well, what happened then?
Because we weren't badgered at weekends to go and dig potatoes or cut oats or given the hoe to go down the back paddock and cut thistles, and Francis was usually in this orchard digging round trees, or I was in the other orchard, or clean out the bale, or, you know, all those sort of things. I harrowed, Avis ploughed. Francis never did. She was always in the orchard digging round trees. And he didn't care, you know. He was a tough man in those days, but I suppose he had to be. But it was good training for us, I guess, in the end. But wasn't a very good childhood, really. Wasn't really. When I think about it, I think, oh gosh, all the things other kids had. Yeah. But I'm amazed he's left those pine trees standing.
So it was always 12 Beltana Road, was it?
Yes, always Block 12, Fishwick.
What's this Fishwick
Eh?
What's this Fishwick business? Is it Pialigo?
Well, it was never Pialigo. It wasn't Pialigo in those days. And we had Dunterin Public School down the road, and we had Sunday school there. Sometimes Dad let us go to Sunday school. But, yeah. And they had Progressive Association. And then Dad and the few of the fellows around here built the tennis courts and put up a tennis shed. The tennis courts are gone, and so is the Progress Hall Dad got from Eastlake. It was transported in. It was just a long tenement place, but they knocked all the petitions out, and we had a dance hall and a stage.
So how old were you when you came here?
4.
4. Let's walk along. So you can remember it?
Yes, I can vaguely remember it. The first thing I really remember is my spot on the circle in the little infants' kindergarten at Queanbeyan. That's the first thing I can remember. That was my spot to sit with my knees on the floor cross and listen to the teacher. And then we came out here, and I remember Avis wasn't happy because she had come from high school and she had lots of friends in Queanbeyan. She wasn't happy at all.
Did you have sheep?
No, we had calves and...
Keep walking up there. Keep walking. You're going to go in the front gate. That's it.
Round the front gate, you reckon?
So this is the house, huh?
That's the house, yes. Dad put that veranda on, and he put a veranda at the back.
Keep walking.
My grandmother and grandfather arrived from England, so they had to have a separate bedroom. So he put the big back veranda on. And
So
that was Granddad's and Gladys's bedroom.
So at what stage? You were 4 when you came?
Yes. And then my grandmother and grandfather arrived from England.
Yeah.
And that was in 1950, followed by Gladys's sister, Phyllis. So that went on.
And come back.
Sorry.
Don't walk away from me. So how old were you when you left?
20.
20.
Yeah, I left in 1952. So I was 20 when I left.
And what did the house look like then?
Well, not bad. It wasn't a bad house.
Did it look like this?
Yeah, that's how it looked, except it's got covered in windows, bits in there, And Mum's bedroom. I used to tap on Mum's bedroom window when we went off to the pictures on Saturday night. And Mum used to sit and wait up for us, so I'd tap on her bedroom window to let her know I was home. Yeah.
And where did you meet the boys?
At dances down at the Progress Hall, or out at the tennis club, or just odd ones. I've got some pictures of some.
Did they come tapping at night?
No, Dad interfered. He hunted boys. He did. He interfered with one fellow Francis fell in love with, and he interfered and broke it up completely. And Francis married a fellow she should never have married on the rebound. Dad interfered with Avis and told her what he thought of Ron. She brought him home and Dad kicked him out, and Avis went off to Penrith to live. It wasn't like now. My daughter, my eldest daughter, had a really nice fellow. She used to go over and visit his mother, and he was a really nice bloke. And my husband interfered in that, and I never interfered in what my kids, if they went with somebody, unless they were really rough or something, if they'd turned up with something rough. But no, they never did. But Frank had a number of girlfriends, but Kathleen, and then she met Reese and they got married, and they were soulmates in the end. But I wish she'd have married the other fellow. She'd have done really well.
So how many people were living in the house for most of that time? So it's Mum and Dad?
Yeah, and us 3 girls.
3 girls.
And Grandad and Gladys and Auntie Phil.
Auntie Phil? Where did she come from?
She was Gladys's sister, my step-grandmother's sister. She came from England. Dear, the sweetest lady. Good fun. She went out for a walk and she picked bundles and bundles of wildflowers and brought them home because she'd never seen anything like it and thought it was a wonderful place. She's never sorry she came to Australia, yes, lovely lady.
So how long did she live here for?
About 5-6 years. She got a job in the public service. Used to catch the 7:45 bus out in the morning and come home on the 5 o'clock bus. Yeah, all those sort of things went on. So, she was a really nice person. I didn't like my step-grandmother.
Is that right?
No, she was strict Catholic, and she tried to get my younger sister to marry a fellow from down the coast who was a Catholic, and that happened. And she bought her a whole set of saucepans and boiler and everything else to get her to marry this Brian from Nelligan. Nelligan he was from. Yeah, so that happened. But Francis didn't marry him anyway. So, and then in 1962, Dad and Mum moved into town from here. They swapped on a moneyed settlement. And Dad said, well, he said when he retired, if he had 3 years up the coast, he'd be right. And he went up there in 1966 and he died in 1988. So that's the kitchen window over there.
Where? Take me to the kitchen window.
Mum's kitchen window.
Let's go in. Let's see Mum's kitchen window.
Do you want to go round the back or through there?
Which way did you go when you were a kid?
When I was a kid. that used to have a door on the edge of the veranda.
So
that's Mum's kitchen window. That's our lounge room window. The open fire. Yeah. Good morning. Hi, how are you? That used to be my bedroom on the end. There, over the cellar.
You had a cellar as well?
Yeah, I guess I don't know whether the cellar is still there, but there's a door in. But that used to be my bedroom. Good morning.
Are you the lady that used to live here?
I don't know why we're doing this, but Emmanuel.
Trip down memory lane. You
Trip
can
down.
go in if you want. Do you want to go in and have a look?
What do you use it for now?
Well, that's our kitchen, and the cellar's still there. It floods
That's-
with water
it
all
does,
the time.
yes. Yeah, and we used to have to bail it out
We
as
pump
kids.
it out
And
now,
Dad,
yeah.
Dad brought Jim Fraser out here once, and they got down in there, and he had about 300 bottles of home brew, and he used to cook it on the fuel stove in a big honey tin, and put a slice of very badly burnt toast on top so the smell wouldn't get out and go all around the house.
Give him away.
But Jim Fraser went home with half a dozen bottles of Dad's
Oh.
home brew.
I'll go around and open the door. And you
That's
can
all
have a
right.
look
No,
in.
no.
I'm going to come in. Go, come in.
We don't want to put anybody out.
You don't like putting people out?
No.
So who did the wood? Who chopped the wood?
We all did.
Yeah.
We all chopped wood. Yeah, it was under a willow tree down the back here.
Is that right?
That was where our wood heap was. Yeah. Yeah. So all this was sort of, well, like this, because the night man used to call and the toilet was just past here. So, yeah, that was an outside toilet. Wonderful place. The changes are the changes in coming out here, and I got on the Dairy Flat Road, and then I saw no through road. No, but yeah.
So the kids would come in and sort of come from the back and say, Hazel, you home? No?
There's the cellar. It's still there.
Oh, darling, and it still
There's
feels.
no booze in there, though.
It's a real cellar.
My father built that. This
Really?
was my bedroom, and one night he left the lids open on the cellar, and I came in, the light wasn't working, and I came in, and I often think about it, how the hell I didn't step over to close the slats or anything. I've often wondered about it, but Dad left it open.
So was this here, this top part? Was
No.
It was just a stairway.
No, there was just the stairs down, and that was all lift-up lids on the cellar. Yeah, yeah. And he had
That's a very big, deep hole, isn't it?
house up that end because there was a place you could get in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had a cooler outside the back door with tadpoles in the top. Yeah, and Mum used to put the from 36 to 52. So yeah, it was great. But us three girls, my father had three girls. He lost a little baby boy with seasickness on the way out from England. And after Mum and Dad died, we found out that we had a little baby sister who only lived 4 or 5 hours buried in the Queanbeyan Cemetery. And so Dad had three girls, but we had to work like three boys. We were either down the back cutting thistles or cutting lucerne in the...
So this would have been all just farm.
It
sort
was
of
bare when
big,
Dad moved
big
in, yeah. He
wilderness.
planted a hedge, so you had two hedges this side of the house and one hedge the other side from the house up, and then across the front. So we had the square in the front, which was full of roses and gardens. And yeah, we sort of, Dad had to get something planted. I was saying to Emmanuel, we planted those pine trees at 9 o'clock at night in a storm. Dad had made us dig all the holes for them. They were coming. And he arrived
So
home
what
with
year
them.
would that have been? That would have been
1947, round about
47,
then.
wow.
So they'd been in there, but they were a windbreak for the house because yes, there was nothing further down.
And the wind comes up from
Yes,
the
yes,
south very
yes,
strong.
yes, it does. Yes, and then he put the well in, and Avis went down the well, and I went down the well, but not Francis. So, Yeah, I was down the well one day and the plank broke and I went into the mud and he grabbed me by the hair of my head and pulled me up. And when I came up from the paddock, because there was nothing to wipe myself off with, and I was crying, and Mum said, that's the finish of the girls going down the well. So we never went down the well again. But yeah, it worked. He had pipes all up the yard, irrigation and things like that. And we had the loosened paddock and we had to cut loosen for the cows because we had 2 or 3 cows, with a sickle. With the sickle, and then we got the scythe, the bigger one. Oh, yeah. Yes, no. And Max Hill had the garden over the back, and if we were running short, we'd climb through the fence and pull all the weeds out along the fence and throw them over to the cows. Yeah, he didn't mind it. They were nice neighbours, yeah. I mean, we had the hills down there and we had the Lloyds the other side with the market garden.
Yeah, Jeff and Rhonda have been here a long time. They've probably been here about 30 years.
Yeah, Max Hill was, we used
It's a shame Jeff's not here because he's got a lot of the old photos of...
Yes, I gave him some.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Oh, right, well, they're probably yours.
No, he took some from me and then he returned them to me, so yes.
He might have got copies of them.
Yes, he might have done, yes, but I've just got the photograph albums of some photos taken here to show Emmanuel when he's got time to sit down, but no, it was, we were cut off, but there was a bus out at 8:15 in the morning and the school bus came around from Tilapia Park School to Beecham House for the Canberra High School where I went. My other 2 sisters didn't make general knowledge as well as, so they couldn't go to Canberra High, they went to Tilapia Park. And I think they had a better grounding than I did because we were separated, girls were separated from boys and all that sort of thing over at Canberra High. But yeah, I went there for 4 years and Mum got sick and so it was, Mum had me delivering 4 billies of milk. I had 2 in the wire basket on the front of the bike. They bought me a bike and that was when I was 11 and I used to ride up to Duntroon on a Sunday morning and get 5 Sunday papers, 1 to Mrs Shuttleworth on the Oval at Duntroon Oval and 1 to the school teacher, was Mr Shumack, Mr Jones originally, Mr Shumack later on, and then 1 to Mr Harrison, who lived across the road, 1 here to Dad, and I can't remember where the other one went, but old Harry Southwell on the next door property. Yeah, they used to play 500 in the kitchen in there at the big table. And on Saturday night, he'd put his head out of that house across the way there and sing out, "Are we playing tonight, Bill?" And, and we'd all get together and play 500. Yeah, it was quite something, we all used to do. I learnt to play cards, and my older sister says to me, I wish I'd have learnt to play cards. So I run a card group on a Monday for 53 oldies.
Excuse me, you're talking to me, please? Over here now, come up to the inside.
Do you want to go inside?
Thank you.
He's getting sick of me.
Okay, so this was what?
Don't feel
This was my bedroom.
This was your bedroom?
Yes. Yes, there was a wall there, across. That was my bedroom and my bed was there and there was a built-in wardrobe. Wow. Yeah.
Was it cold?
And it was human cold. And all this was slats. But of course, I don't blame them. They've taken them out and put windows in. Yeah.
Well, will slats make it colder?
Slats used to rattle in the wind. Yeah, badly rattle.
And what sort of stuff did you have?
What?
In your bedroom?
A bed.
Okay.
A bed and a wardrobe and a mirror nailed on the wall. No, I think I had 1 drawer underneath there, 1 cupboard underneath there to throw my underwear in. But yeah, It was all right.
Did you have TV? Sound system?
No, no radio. We had a little old radio in the lounge room, which would fetch hundreds of dollars now. But it was just, when we first, like Fraser used to come on at night, and we'd listen to that, and Ava would listen to Ben and Sam. Yeah.
And what was, so there was a wall here?
Yes, there was a wall here.
And the door was in, from there, was it?
No, that wasn't there.
So how'd you get in and out?
I came in here and went through the kitchen.
How'd you do that?
Well, there was a door this side.
Uh-huh. Well, come on, let's go to the
So
kitchen. Where's the kitchen?
Right behind you.
This is the kitchen here?
This was the back veranda. Dad had a table here, and he spent a lot of time. When he came home from the war, he was covered in carbuncles and tinea, and he used to sit in an old chair here while he got better. And I used to treat his carbuncles and boils for him with gentian violet, and I used to paint all his feet with gentian violet. He had dreadful tinea. He nearly lost a couple of toes. But I think Dad and I cemented a lot of feeling then.
What do you mean feeling?
Now, there's the kitchen door in there, darling, but this is going into the...
What do you mean you cemented?
I think he realised that, yeah, he needed some help, and I was the one that came forward. Somebody had to. In the end, I was able to go out onto the... See, this was a cupboard. This was where I'm standing, was the the linen cupboard. And this was our lounge room.
This was your lounge room? It's quite a big lounge room, isn't it?
Well, it's different. It's different because the fireplace used to be here. Never there. See, where that used to be the door into our lounge room. And of course this was all part of the kitchen.
So this is kitchen?
Yeah, it's got to be. But there was more of it.
So that was a wall there?
A wall with a door in. See, they've taken bits out of the house because they've made it to suit them and what they want to do. But yeah, that's the kitchen window, and we used to have a sink here, and Mum would peel the potatoes there, and oh, that's where the fuel stove was. Of course, that's where the fuel stove was.
What's a fuel stove?
Thing you burn wood in and heat the oven up. My mother used to make some beautiful cakes and pastries and rabbit pie and all that sort of thing in that. Stuffed marrow was wonderful. Yeah, my mother was a pretty good plain cook. But yeah, that's where the old fuel stove used to be. Yeah, and the laundry was out the back. That's what was out the back door, was the laundry.
And so what was here, the kitchen table?
Big kitchen table, yeah.
Where was that?
Sitting along there and through that wall, because that wall's new.
So that's in your wall?
That's been put in, yeah. And the laundry was behind that, and the stairs down into the backyard. So it all looks so different.
You're doing well. And so you walked in from here into
yeah, we walked in through a door on this side.
And then
into the lounge room.
Into lounge room, dining room?
No, dining was here on the big table, Emmanuel. That's where we had our...
In the kitchen?
Kitchen, in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And we had to have tin plates originally and mugs because my father was a bit violent at times. So if he didn't like what was going on, he'd pull the tablecloth right off and all the crockery and everything. Yes. No, I'm not kidding. He was, yeah. And Mum wanted to leave Queanbeyan because he was becoming a bit of a drunk too. He was drinking too, so. But he used to go around Queanbeyan and pick up all the old drunks from the hotels and bring them home lay them out on grey blankets in the backyard. And that is my first memory of this place, is all the drunks, he used to bring them out from Queanbeyan and let them sober up over the weekends. And we always had somebody in the backyard, drunk as anything. Yeah. So we had tin plates and enamel mugs and all that sort of thing for a long, long time. But when Dad came back from the war, he was different. He wasn't as tough as, or wasn't as demanding or anything. But I think he missed Mum. He used to say to her every morning, "I've got you for another day." And he really appreciated more home, but he never did in the first place. He was making ends meet as best he could. But he worked Avis into the ground at weekends, more than he did Francis and I. But I was the one that was always sick. So that was from childhood. That was just childhood. Yeah.
Sick from what?
Oh, I just used to lose energy and because I was so preemie and all that, I used to just fade at times. And I'd be home. I missed a lot of school, but I loved school. And we had the most wonderful teacher, Mr. Jones, and he was an asthmatic. And during the war, he wanted to retire, and they couldn't let him because they had no teachers. And he kept going. And then one morning, as I was delivering the milk to the school teacher, to my school teacher's house at the end of Duntroon Public, his wife asked me to call Mrs. Tracy over as soon as possible. And I went over to Mrs. Tracy and said, "Mrs. Jones wants to see you urgently, she's crying." And so Mrs. Tracy went across and I waited, and she came back about an hour later and said, "Your school teacher died in the night with an asthma attack." And so we had a lovely lady come and live with Mrs. Bateson across the road, and she taught us for the finish of the year. We had about 6 weeks off work before they got off school, before they gave us a teacher. But she was lovely. She came, and then Mr. Shumack came. So yeah, good teachers. Sorry, I'm nervous.
So this was the hallway.
That's the hallway. Went down there to Mum's bedroom and out to the veranda. There was a big window there that looked out onto the garden we had. And then Dad put that veranda on, and he built it himself.
So let's go this way. So this was the front door was here, was it?
No, the front door was around here, round this way. That was a big window there. This was our lounge room. That used to be a cupboard, and behind that was the laundry. This was where we had a front door out.
And what was this room used for? What was this room used for?
It was, first of all, it was my bedroom until Dad built the back veranda. Then in the end, it was just a sort of place where they put chairs, and we used to drag them out into the front garden. But then Dad built the front veranda on for Gladys and Grandad. But yeah, it's all sort of, no, wait a minute. That's wrong. This was Francis's bedroom. Francis and Avis shared that room. The front door must have been, yeah, it must have been there. It must have been there because that was the cupboard and there was a wall straight through and that's where the door went out to the front garden. And it ended up, it was just a narrow room. And this was Francis and Avis's bedroom. And Auntie Phil, when she came, Avis had left, so Auntie Phil and Francis shared this room. There was 2 single beds in there. And that was our bathroom. Chip heater, and this was Mum's bedroom. You used to tap on that window to let her know I was home. There was a big cupboard here. Yeah, there still is. But yeah, big cupboard there, and Mum had a dressing table across this corner, which Kathleen's got. And yeah.
Did you spend any time in here?
Hmm?
Did you spend any time in here?
In Mum and Dad's bedroom?
Yeah.
No, not really. When I was sick once, Mum, during the war, Mum brought me in and I stayed in the bed with her, the double bed. Well, I suppose I was about 8 or 9 at the time. Dad was in the army, and yeah. So that's where Mum and Dad were. And this was Gladys and Granddad's bedroom with a big cupboards all down and a dressing table on that side, double bed. And we all got together for Christmas out here on this back veranda.
Call the back
This front veranda, yeah. 19 we had one Christmas dinner out here on the big kitchen table and some planks and tablecloths all over it. 19, all people we'd met from the Air Force and a few army blokes as well. And they came, Mum invited everybody who wanted to come, because they used to come round occasionally and ask could they have some apples. And well, that's how we met people. Well, Ava's had a couple of friends, like she went with Vic Southwell next door, and Jack Lloyd up the road came down on Sunday night. Dad and Mum caught the bus out and went to Westlake to play cards. And so then they'd catch the 10 o'clock bus back, and yeah, so. Yeah, so we've had many parties on that veranda. It was wonderful. Really was wonderful.
Did you, it wasn't enclosed?
Yes, it was enclosed. Yeah.
Your father did enclose it?
Yes, he enclosed it with slats that were all the way along. But they rattled at night.
Oh, bet.
Yeah, they did.
So where'd they get the table from to fit 19 people?
Dad brought his trestles in out of the garage, and he put the trestles down, and he found some boards to put over it, and then we put a tablecloth over that, and we had odd chairs all around the place, and then we bought the big kitchen table out, which seated 4, about 8 of us, and then we had these big other tables. And he brought his trestles in out of the garage. Yeah.
Was it a fun Christmas?
Lovely Christmases we had. When Gladys and Grandad were here, they just loved it because it was all sort of getting together. Auntie Phil enjoyed it because there was fellas around. She fitted in with everything. Auntie Phil, she was glad she came. Gladys and Grandad lived here for about 5 years, and then they bought a house on the other side of the Nelligan ferry, because it wasn't a road across, and you had to get on the ferry to go across. And Gladys made pies and cups of tea and coffee and cakes and biscuits, and they had a good life down there for a while. Yeah. My grandfather wasn't well, but they went down there. He threw his walking stick out the cabin window as they were leaving England, and he said, I won't want that anymore. And he threw his walking stick out the window and left England. Yeah, he was a regimental sergeant major, and Frank's got one of his trays when he retired. It's got regimental sergeant major for Royal Marines. Yeah, so, and he did go, his father did go to the Crimean War. So, yeah, so you've got, and we've got a sword, which you didn't see up in Frank's lounge room. It's silver, and it's a thing that was brought back from the Crimean War, and was he bought it out. Granddad bought it out when he came because he thought Mum hadn't been treated right when her mum died. So he bought his tray out and his sword from his father. So yeah.
So he must have been a tough old man.
Who?
Your granddad.
No, I don't think so. I suppose he was a bit bossy because he was a regimental sergeant major. Yes, because he was. You should have a look at that sword or the dagger. It's long, and you should have a look at that sword and the tray. But he wasn't well even when he got here, but they did all right.
Did your dad get him working on the farm?
No, he was retired and in his 60s, and he wasn't a well man, but he did a lot of walking. He got himself a horse and started to ride all around the place, and yeah, he'd take Gladys to church in the old car, and yeah. He didn't do very much. He wasn't into gardening. That's the last thing for a regimental sergeant major.
So this is where you get your bossiness from, is it?
No.
Your organising skills.
I don't know where they came from, but yeah, sometimes I curse them because I'm just good at organising people. And I don't think anybody else was. See, when Dad came home from the war, he wasn't well at all, and I set him up a chair on the back veranda and painted all his tinea with gentian violet, and I used to paint I love you on the bottom of his feet, and I think he mellowed a hell of a lot that 3 or 4 months that he wasn't well. And I remember saying to him, and he'd say, my back is killing me, and I said to him, Dad, I can see pus in the bottom of that hole, a big carbuncle on his back. It might have been a sort of tropical boil or something. And he said, can you do something with it? And I got the tweezers and put them in boiling water and put it into this hole and pulled out this awful thing like an octopus. It was all pus. And Dad, I think that was the first time Dad sort of thought, well, Hazel's good for something, because he said, oh, you've no idea. And he thought it was lovely. So the pain had sort of eased a hell of a lot with that gone out of his body. But yeah, I was going to go nursing, but it didn't happen.
So you're going to do nursing? Nursing?
Yes, I was going to go nursing. I went and saw a matron guy at the old Canberra hospital, and I did my invalid cookery, and I passed with pretty high marks in physiology and biology. And then Mum got sick and I took a job. What'd you do? Mob of hippies in here at one stage.
There were hippies here, weren't there?
Yeah, there were hippies here, yeah. Yeah.
So you missed that, didn't you?
Yes, I missed that.
Would have been fun, huh?
Now, the garage used to be down the back there.
So you had a garage?
Yeah, Dad built a garage with... Oh, that's a story and a half.
Yeah?
We had a garage with a chook yard beside it as well, and we had some chooks in there, but the garage was there. Dad got a plug of gelignite off a bloke from the Department of Works. He's dead and gone. George Day gave him a plug of dynamite, and he started to dig a hole and it got too heavy, so he got this plug of dynamite. One Sunday afternoon, he lit the plug of dynamite in this hard rock. He drilled a hole right into it and he put the dynamite in. The shed roof went up 3 feet. All these rocks flew out and the roof came back down a foot off key and the chook yard got destroyed. That happened on a Sunday afternoon. We were all down playing tennis at the tennis court, that happened, and he built an air raid shelter underneath, and he'd seen on the Dairy Flat Road they were replacing the sleepers on the railway line. So he went out late at night in this old truck and he carted them over 3 fences, and then his shoulder was red raw. He pinched them from the railway yard and put them as a roof on top of the thing, but he used the stairs down as a pit to repair the truck underneath. Yeah, he was a good at lots of things. He was a bricklayer. He was
resourceful.
Yes, very resourceful. He had to be a manual in those days because we were cut off. But this is the side where the other orchard was, from Queanbeyan when I was 4. And I started at Duntroon Public School down the road to make up the numbers when I was 4.
My goodness,
So-
my mum's an original
Is she?
Canberra.
What's her name?
Her name was Mel Robbie. It's Mel Palmer now, but it used to be Mel Robbie. They used to live in the Causeway.
Yeah, that's right.
And they were she was
And
born in the
the
Lower
Sharps
Malolo.
and the Keeleys and all that. Yeah, yes.
And
My-
the Spearings was my was my great great grandmother. So
Yeah. We used to on a Saturday night, we'd say to Dad, we had our that used to be a big dip in the road down here, and we had our cosmetics under the bridge. All of the girls, nobody wanted their kids to wear makeup, so down to the bridge, race along the gully, and take up your shoes and stockings and wade across the creek and go to the Causeway dance. Yeah, and then we had to try and make our way back. So we pretended we came on the bus.
That's a long way.
You can run when you're going to see the fellas and dance. I remember. And then Avis came home and we had to wipe off our lipstick down there and get rid of it before we came home in case Dad was up.
So you kept it under the ridge.
Yeah, we kept it under the bridge. Yeah, we all.
So that was your makeup room.
That was where that's where we went and put makeup on. We'd like striking matches to show the mirror up to Avis. Yes, she, the Keeleys and the Sharps and the, Dad went to the war with Bob Keeley from the Causeway, and they became really good mates. Yeah, that happened. So, Causeway was alive in those days. It really was. There were some wonderful people in there. Yeah. Trying to think.
Well, they were all the workers' cottages.
Yeah, they were the workers'
Built in
cottages. Yeah. They sort of. And Saturday night used to be the bingo eventually in that Causeway Hall. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of us, and of course the Causeway people used to come down to the river, and and there was a swimming hole down the bottom there, and occasionally I nearly drowned there one day. Oh, that was dreadful. But they pushed me out in a canoe that was leaking, thinking I could swim properly, and I couldn't.
My mum lost 2 of her boy cousins in I don't know whether it's down at the Cotter or down at the river here. They came down from Sydney and they went out onto a log, and the log went out. They were on the edge, and one could swim and one couldn't. And one little fella tried to save the other, and they both perished, and that was very sad.
Oh,
and that was the early days in Canberra as well.
Yeah. See, and occasionally Dad would get the old truck out, throw some watermelons on and odds and ends, and take us all out to the Cotter. And when my grandmother and grandfather arrived, and Dad, that was their first treat. I've got some pictures there, and I looked at it this morning, and we all went out to the Cotter, and there would have been about 14 people, and he'd have Hessian bags, and we'd go out there, cut up with the watermelons, and they just grew wild down the back because we just planted them, and they just grew, and we always had too many. And we used to pick peas and everything, and he took me one day into East Row, and we sold the peas at threepence a bag. And Dad was disgusted. He bought me an ice cream and said, "Let's go home." That happened. Oh no, you think about it. A lot of it was fun, but a lot of it was hard work. Yeah, well, Dad put the orchard in, yeah.
Dad put it. I thought you put it in.
No. We put those trees in at the back. Dad had the apple trees planted, and he got 12 almond trees, and we had to pick them, the almonds.
And
Yeah.
where did you sell all the stuff?
Oh, Dad got rid of it in town at the hotels and things. If we had some extra chooks, they went to the Hotel Canberra. If we had too much of everything, he'd find the local fruiterer or somebody to take. Yeah.
Do you have any favourite apple trees here?
Yes,
Where was your favourite?
right about there,
Yeah.
just about down there, at the end of that place, was a 20-ounce apple. And they were huge, and they were brilliant. Yeah, they were brilliant. It was just wonderful, yeah. And the nectarine trees on the other side were good. So, no, the 20-ounce apple was there, and I often kicked myself we didn't get a cutting from it.
So that was a green apple or
A green apple, yeah. Yeah, it made wonderful apple pies and even wonderful to eat, cut up and a bit tart and just lovely.
So what was over there? Take me over there.
Over there was the orchard.
Well,
It
take
went
me.
right to the
See
fence.
if we can see the apple trees there.
I don't think you will because the drive goes in.
So nothing was here?
No, this wasn't here, no, darling. This is all part of the orchard. And the driveway would have come out here. And that's all the hedge was all taken out. So all that is new, darling. And see, he's got a driveway in on the other side there. The bale was down the back past those pines.
The what?
But, yeah.
What do you call it? Well, the bale.
The bale was where we milked the cows.
You milk cows too?
Yes.
How many cows do you have?
Two or three at one time. We got rid of one cow, I think, when Dad went into the army. But I had the two cows because that was, well, the milk was one way of getting some money. And Mum held on to the property. Dad told her to move into town, sell it and move into town. She wouldn't because she just wanted to stay. Because she was away from the pubs and things, and Dad had his home brew and all that. And he didn't, he used to occasionally, of a Saturday, ride his bike over to Hotel Ainsley, up along the dirt road to the where the War Memorial is. And he'd go and meet some of the fellows he used to work with. He helped put the tarmac in at the aerodrome for the first proper runway. He was the engine driver and drove the roller, and we, as kids, when we were coming from school, we used to walk over and see him working. So,
How do you milk a cow?
just grab her. You have to wash their udders first. And the boys next door were the Kellys, who lived next door, two big boys, Arthur and Alan, and they got some rotten duck eggs and threw them at Avis, and she dodged and it hit the side of the cow. And when Mum went down to milk the cow, there was this rotten duck egg all over the cow, and she belted Avis for that. Should have gone and got a bucket and washed the cow down.
So where was the bale?
The bale was way down the back from those
Can we
trees.
walk down
About,
there?
yeah. All right.
Sure.
Look here. Look.
That's true, isn't it? Isn't that true? Definitely.
Definitely. That's what I used to get bullied at school.
Is that right? What was that?
hazelnut used to get.
Did you like the boys at school?
Not really. I wasn't interested in boys until I got into high school. What do you expect me to say to you? The bar was right down the back.
Still further back. It was a big property.
Yeah, it was a big property.
I mean, all this changes that's happening here. It's amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing. Look at that new building. I tell you.
What would your dad thought of all this?
Oh, he'd have done a heap too, yeah. But he was into growing vegetables and everything else. Yeah, all of those trees, all these trees are new. Pialigo Plant Farm. That's where the old bar was, down the back there.
Where?
Through the trees, you can see the old bale.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Yes. I said to him the other day, what are you going to be like when you're 90? And he said, I don't plan to be here, Mum. So there you go. Oh, all this has changed. See, that's the old bale. Oh, is it? No, it isn't. It's got to be here, closer. That's next door.
Would have been this?
That could have been it. No, it's too close. It's too close. The old bale was here. Could have been. No, that's not it. No, it would have been about, if you look next door, those trees, it would have been about over here. It wasn't far from the fence, but I think it would have been about where that post is there.
And this is the river down there, isn't it?
Yeah, the river goes down there, way down.
So which way did you go to the dance?
Down there, across the river.
Across the river?
Yeah, at where it was the shallowest, and then put on your stockings and shoes again.
It's a good half-hour walk.
It's a run. Just remember, we were teenagers. Avis and I, whomp, off we'd go.
Do you remember kissing any of the boys?
No. I don't think I was game. I think I was frightened what Dad would say. But I did have a fellow from the army, and I had a friend who used to come here, and he was an Indonesian pilot, and he used to come here and help Mum during the war. Indonesian, yeah. And he took a shine to me, and I'd make cakes, and he'd turn up, and Mum thought he was lovely, but he crashed and was killed, and he had a plate put in his forehead. I went and saw him in the hospital, but then they transferred him away, and I don't know what happened to him, but a lovely man, but yeah.
So he was Javanese?
Yeah, he was Javanese. He was lovely. He'd come round and help us, see us picking fruit in the orchard or see us doing something, and he loved almonds. He was a really nice fellow. Avis had a number of Air Force fellow friends who were lovely, you know. Frances and I young and sort of watching her with her boyfriends, but yeah, that's
Did you watch her kiss boys?
No.
I was going to say, didn't she teach you anything about kissing?
No.
boys?
No.
What?
No.
What's a sister for?
She was a very attractive lady. She was. See, that's our place, and I'm wondering if the well's still there.
Where's the well?
Down the back corner.
Right at the back.
Yeah, right at the back, against Lloyd's farm, market garden.
So this was all orchards here?
No, this was all, the bale was there, the oat paddock was there, the lucerne paddock was way down the back. We had to have, a lot of this from here down was pasture for the cows, and Dad had pigs down there. Yeah, that's where the piggery was.
Gee, pigs.
Yeah, yeah, because he was working at the Air Force, he could get all the rubbish, leftover meals and everything else, and he used to bring them home and throw them in for the pigs. And the abattoir, we had to get them to the abattoir in the old truck, and you were detailed. And one time we put a young calf in the back of the old car he had, and its foot went through the floorboards as we were travelling along the rough road to the Queanbeyan abattoirs. And a few cows we took to the Queanbeyan abattoirs, and we had to walk with them all the way to the abattoirs. And I thought they were just going to be adopted. They were. Dad said, oh, they're going into the yard, somebody will take them. And I thought they were being adopted out of somebody else's farm, but they weren't, they were being killed. So, yeah.
So did you see that? Or you...
No, I didn't see that. Dad made me wait at the gate. So, very naive, really naive kids in those days, not like they are nowadays.
But your country girls?
Yeah, I suppose so, Emmanuel, but yeah. Just odd, very dumb. Dumb blonde.
So you were blonde, were you? Dumb
No,
blonde.
I wasn't. I was a redhead with
redhead.
freckles.
Dumb redhead.
Yeah, dumb redhead. Yeah, I had lovely curly hair, golden curls. Even my schoolmaster used to say, oh, here's my golden-haired girl. Yeah, yeah. And we had one boy at school, and he had the biggest head ever of a kid, Tom Hubbard, and he was a brain. He could read one page of a book and then recite it back to you. Yeah, Mr. Jones just had to cope with him as well as 6 classes in the one room.
Kitty, tell us about 6 classes in the one room. What was that like?
Well, it had to. The older ones had to help the little ones sometimes. We had a coke heater in the classroom. It didn't do much for the warmth in there, but we were all in one room, and the little ones had to behave themselves. He did have a cane, and occasionally he'd whack somebody. But don't forget, he was an asthmatic. And one day I walked into the headmaster's office, we called our headmaster, and here he was giving himself an injection in the thigh. I guess insulin or whatever. But he gave us all the lecture. I don't think he knew who it was, but as soon as I saw that, I backed out real quick. And he said nobody was allowed to walk into his office without knocking on the door first. But yeah, so I'd put Band-Aid on somebody and went to tell him that I'd put a Band-Aid on somebody in the playground. But no, it was difficult at times for him, I felt. A few times I'd take kids into the other classroom if they were being disruptive or something, and he'd ask me to, Hazel, will you take those little ones away for a while? So, yeah, I think that's where I got my bossy boots. But, yeah, he was a dear old man. He's buried in the St. John's Cemetery. And I loved him. I just thought he was a really good teacher. And it was very sad that he died. He sent us off to school, to high school, a few of us, and we wondered what the hell had hit us when we had all different teachers for each lesson. That was a shock. That was a shock to me, that we had one English teacher and one. Yeah, so that was difficult. I don't remember those telegraph poles there. We had a cow have a calf, had twin calves over there, and both of their legs were back the wrong way. Yeah, that happened during the war. I cried my eyes out. They were beautiful, but both back legs were the wrong way. It was awful. She's got rose bushes. That's where we had oats growing. This was the cow paddock. Went down to the back fence. Your arms will be aching.
Well, you've got bags you're carrying, it's the same thing.
It doesn't matter.
I know about bags, women's bags. You know.
Well, I decided that I better have a look for some of the photos I had of here.
Yep.
And I couldn't find the ones of when we originally moved in, and there's one of Dad in the back garden, back of the house, walking away from the back of the house, and the hedge was planted. And they were only little at that stage, but they went up to 6 or 8 feet high, and they had to be pruned every now and again. Oh, I'm taking you through the rough, aren't I?
Was it good living in Pieliga?
Eh?
Was it good living in Pieliga?
In a way, yes. When you realised that Dad was drinking too much in Queanbeyan, and Mum wanted to get out of Queanbeyan, away from all the drunks, because they'd come round to the house, and that's something I do remember. They'd come round to the house and ask Dad for help, and Mum would give them a meal. And I think about it, and I think she got to the stage where she just couldn't manage any longer. And when they got £400 from England out of her mother's estate, she wanted that house. It was for sale, and the other people wanted to come to Queanbeyan. And they had 5 kids, so Mum swapped on a money settlement. It's not there anymore, is it? Yes, there it is. Over there.
Let's go.
The lucerne paddock. This was all lucerne.
What's lucerne?
About 2 acres of lucerne paddock.
What do you do with lucerne?
You cut it with a scythe by hand and heave it over the fence to the cows. Were waiting every night when we came from school. That's what happened.
And what did you do? Put your bag down, show me how you did it.
It was a curved blade with a wooden handle coming out, like a question mark.
Yeah.
And you used to get down and cut it.
Show me. I'll give you a couple, see if you've got the movement.
I can get the movement all right. You grab a handful and swing, and then you'd get a bundle together and grab it up in your arms and take it over to the cows standing by the fence, because they knew that we were coming.
Is that right?
They'd wait.
They'd wait?
Yeah.
And where were the cows?
At the fence, which ran along there somewhere. And the fence is all gone. And that used to be a hollow there where the cows used to get water. There's all these trees, this tree's new, and that is new.
It's big old trees, this.
That's what Dad used to make his mould to put the thing down the well.
Is that right?
That, yeah. Part of his irrigation system.
So where's the well? I'll follow
There
you.
it is, there.
Yeah, show me. Go down
That's where the well is. I'm going to put this down.
there. Getting smart, huh?
Emmanuel, the water from the river came right up here and went over the top of the well and was up into nearly to the back of our house. Really was.
So that was the flood of what? What year?
Remember?
The country people remember those sort of things.
Dad had his motor up on this thing. Dad had his motor on top of this thing, and during the flood, the water came right up and was right up nearly to the house, and all that side sank, and Max Hill helped Dad get the thing out of the well and lift it up and bring it up, because I was here and helping Dad and I couldn't help him. But that's my father built that. There's water in it.
And what's that?
Look, you can see that. I've been down there.
You've been down there?
Yep. On the ladder.
Is that the one you...
That's when I fell in. The board broke under my foot. And see, this is where his belt used to go through from his.
So he had two wells. Why did he have two?
Well, no, he had a motor there, and then the arm went out and came across here and onto a pulley, and the belts, the big straps went down through there. You can see how he built it. He got some 40-gallon drums, and he cut them in half, and bolted them together, and that's how deep they were each one. And he filled it with concrete, and the first one sank a bit too far, so he built the next one on top pretty quick, and fortunately it landed right on top of the other one, but the first one disappeared below the soil. The second one wasn't too bad, and he was down here again putting the third one on. But getting the corrugated iron off the concrete was a bit of a handful. We had to use a crowbar. At times they stuck. But that's Dad's memorial. Unreal. It is unreal.
Were you helping him?
Yeah, because, well, you were carting the buckets from the, he had planks out or something out there. I think it was tin from the bale, and he was mixing up the concrete, and I'd grab a bucketful and come and pour it in for him. But not every time. Sometimes I wasn't here, so it's an achievement, isn't it? You look, and we used to go down to the river and get these stones.
You're kidding.
Yeah. And see, the river's only just down there. And I'm amazed. Look at this, the Reuben Hill's farm. Old Mrs. Hill was a darling. She really was. And Mrs. Lloyd used to make, on the other side of the Beltana Road, used to make beautiful pancakes and scones, and we'd be around there with Gwen Lloyd and Dave Lloyd. Dave Lloyd got killed during the war, and Ron. There was another one. But there you are. Thank you for walking me down here.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it, huh? So how are you
Yeah.
going to get back?
Eh?
How are you going to get back?
I'm going to get back.
So, if this is your dad's memorial, the question comes, what's yours?
I don't have one, darling. I mean, my sister said to me when she was dying, she said, I haven't done enough, I haven't left anything that's good behind. And I said, you certainly have. You've got a lovely son and I love him and I'll keep an eye on him. And that was Adrian. Well, you can't live your life through your kids. Well, at least Frank's made an impression. He had his, I went and had my fortune told at one stage. And this lady said, oh, I just love your child's life. She said, he's going to have a wonderful life. There'll be no money, but he'll have a wonderful life. She said, and so much is going to happen in his life. And Kathleen, she threw the cards out and said, oh, this one's going to have money. You'll have no trouble with this one. Now I'm having all the trouble with Kathleen at the moment, and I think, oh, I can't stand it. She is so depressed, it's impossible. And then Marion, and then she said, then we come to the troublesome one. So each of us girls has got a troublesome. Frances had Susan, Avis has got Lynn, and I've got Marion. But I love the kids, but I'm not loving Kathleen at the moment. But we'll get there.
You got time to get there?
Hmm?
You got time to get there?
I'm not ready to go yet. God only takes good people, Emmanuel. That's why you and I are still here. There's work to do.
Kathleen work.
Hmm?
Kathleen work.
Yeah, somehow. I think I'm just going to back off for a while. Let her sort herself out. I've got to protect myself. I'm getting too old to take those sort of, that sort of rubbish. I love the kids, but sometimes I think I'd have been better off if I'd never had them. But think what Canberra would have missed out without Frank. He was a night owl when he was a baby, and he still is, and I can't. I worry that I'm going to get a phone call in the middle of the night. He's overdone it at some party. He's been a good son. You have to think about that. He's been a good son. Nobody's perfect, and I'm least of all me. So, and your wife's cooking lunch without you there. So come on, we're going. I'm going to buy you lunch.
Okay. Where are we going for lunch?
I don't know. End of Rodney's.
Hey. So.
See?
So that's nothing in there.
That's nothing. No, that's solid.
That's solid.
That's solid concrete. You have to admire him for being able to make it and put that in, and it goes right through. I mean.
So where did you learn that from?
Hmm?
Where did he learn that from?
He was a boiler maker in England, and they built boilers in England in those days with concrete, and he was a handyman. He wasn't in his last few years. He became really slapdash, but he was 80. He jacked an old house up down the road. He borrowed a big jack, jacked it up, and put 350 bricks underneath. And he put the piers in and everything else. And when the fellow came back up to his coast house, all the bricks were gone, and he said, oh, the bricks are gone. And then he realised where they were, and he came round and he was crying. He said to Dad, I can't believe you did that for me. He said, I am so grateful, because he said, I was just going to do a rough job. And he said, that's brilliant. And Dad did that for him. And he came with some money, and Dad was embarrassed. He said, and he gave Dad some money, and he said, no, I can't. And he was crying. And he said, I came up to do that. And he said, now we can go fishing, Bill. So he took Dad fishing. Yeah, but yeah, Dad did that for him. He put foundations in for a house across the road because those people were living in a caravan every weekend and coming up and working. They dug their own foundations and then the bricks were there and Dad was good to neighbours. Oh.
So, who was your best friend when you were living in Pialigo?
Betty Moore, 2 doors up.
Who?
Betty Moore.
What was she like?
She came to Canberra High she was in my class at school all the time, and we became good mates. We caught the bus together. She used to sort of. She was more Frances's friend in the end when I left. When we went to high school, she ended up being Frances's friend, and they were good mates. But she died of cancer a number of years back, and I brought Frances came down from Brisbane, and I brought Franny out to see her. And she had a bit of a hard life. She married a fellow, and he was lovely. But one day she was up helping Mrs. Capello pack honey, and the kids were home on their own. The log rolled out of the fire and burnt the house down. And she had a baby in the pram, and the baby couldn't be revived. The 2 kids got out. She lost everything, and the church came in and helped build another house 2 doors up. But that's how big our property was. God, we worked.
Certainly did. So, has Canberra been good to you?
Yes, but I think I should have left Canberra because I know too many people. I pick up the births, deaths and marriages, and there's always somebody in there that I've known all those years. And both my sisters moved out of Canberra, and I sometimes think, wish I had to, but it's been good to me. I'm not sorry. Got to be content.
Are you content?
Yep. Yep, I am. Except for my flaming daughter. Don't put that bit in.
Well, maybe she might get to see this one day.
Oh, well.
After we're long gone, you know.
Well, she's got a chip on her shoulder because Frank got a bit more help than she did when she went to uni. She stayed home and she didn't have to pay board or anything. Frank went to Sydney, he had to get a job down there. She could have got a job and life would have been much easier for her. We had no money and Dad had gone.
It's amazing that you could still send them to university.
Eh?
It was amazing that you could still send them to university.
But they got scholarships in those days. It was the only thing that helped Kathleen get through. Couldn't help her, I was too busy trying to make ends meet.
So what have you learnt the most over all the years? What have you learnt? What's the most cherished?
Oh, there's been some heartbreaking times, really has, but being a mum has been good, but I was left on my own when my husband left, and the kids didn't rally round. They went and did their own thing. You could go all weekend and not see anybody. And I was given a wide berth by the neighbours in case I was a danger to their husbands or something. So I don't know. I think I'm a survivor. I'm determined little blighter, Dad used to call me. I don't know. That's life. Life can be hard and life can be good.
Did you learn that from these paddocks? Did you learn that from these paddocks?
No, I didn't think no, I wasn't. I was just lucky to have survived. In fact, I got so sick one time I stood at the telegraph pole at the front gate and said to my sister, I think I'm going to die. And I was really feeling off, and I'd missed school for about 3 weeks. But there you go.
How lucky you didn't.
Eh?
How lucky you didn't die then.
Sometimes I wish I died at birth. Sometimes in my life I wish I died at birth.
That's because it was hard at certain times, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was hard at times. My husband didn't want our third child. He didn't want her at all. And so I'm 8 months pregnant and I sleepwalked and was about to commit suicide. And Dr. Martin gave Keith the rounds of the kitchen then. And it wasn't very good. It wasn't very good, but anyway, Marion loved him. So, turn that off.
I'm almost there. I'm almost done to the front. That's a long walk.
I walk further than that when I go for a walk.
Is that right?
Yes. Why not?
I think this soil, this earth, this block
See,
had a big
there's his house.
I think this block of land's had a big influence on you.
You reckon?
Yeah. I reckon it's toughened you up and it's prepared you and your dad did all
yes,
that.
I often say that, that it has been.
So you haven't kissed it, have you?
I kissed that down there.
You did?
Yeah. That was Dad's. And I've thought, okay, Dad was tough, but I think a lot of fathers were tough in those days. Don't you?
Yeah.
They had to be.
Well, I reckon Dad and this earth, this block of land, has had a big influence on you.
Yeah, I guess so. It's all childhood, isn't it? Yeah.
Are these trees?
These nine, I can still feel my hands freezing.
Well, touch it. Touch it then how many years later? Because it would have been a hole in the ground.
It was a hole in the ground, all right. Dad was determined. And you don't realise, it was nearly midnight by the time we went to bed. And you're trying to get your homework done and Dad comes home with so many bloody pine trees to plant. And at the back of the garage used to be where we stacked the oats. And this day, Frances was holding the horse's head while I was in the cage stacking the oats for Dad. And Frances said, "Oh, look what the horse has done. It had eaten one of these pine trees off." And Dad immediately took the horse away. But she was made to hold the horse's head.
Where was the dunny? Where was the dunny?
The dunny was at the back of the house. It was down, yeah. There's the old house there. The dunny wasn't that far from the house, but the wood heap was beside it. If somebody was in the dunny, we used to chop wood. Possibly just about where that seat is down there. Yep.
Was it scary going down there?
Was at times. There were no lights. No.
Did you ever discover anything about the new house or the old house?
Oh yeah, how it's altered. Yeah, Dad made a fireplace. In front of the open fireplace was just board floors. Dad cut it all out, put in a steely box, and he broke up some blue and green bottles and mixed it with concrete and put it in there, and it used to sparkle. It used to sparkle, and it's gone. Some silly bugger took it out. Oh, Emmanuel. I'm amazed on letting you take my photo, because Frank told me I have to get over it.
You've done well. You've really done well. Very, very well. So, what's this?
That's the house where I was born.
Where?
It's near the Queanbeyan Park. In Queanbeyan, just down the back of the Queanbeyan Park.
When was that?
1932. I got over bloody 80 coming up next year.
It's been a beautiful day. Hasn't it?
Today's been a lovely day.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, very much so.
I didn't know you could talk so much.
I do about the past, yeah.
You do?
Of course, Canberra's completely changed. One time you could walk down the street and say hello to everybody, but not anymore.
Remember living in it? Obviously not.
No, I don't remember that at all. I just remember the kindergarten white circle on the floor, and that was my spot where I sat to listen to the teachers at kindergarten in Queanbeyan. So, yeah, and I could still go to that school, you know, and see that spot. I've been there. Yeah. Yeah.
Remember this one? Rodney's?
Yes, Rita Doyle and her brother lived here. The Lloyds were next door. Next door was the Bakers that way, and the Pryors and Reuben Hill. And across the road was the Lloyds. And Leila Lawrence married a fellow, Constance, and lived in the little house just down from the house. And the Barrys lived next door, and I was in love with John Barry. And my dad used to bring the cows up here to put them in with the bulls. So we'd get calves. And then across the road from here was the Primmers. And then next door here was the McGuinnesses. And then Jack Lloyd moved in there with Barbara. And then the Bushes were the next house. And then the Moores were the next one. He used to kill 35 chooks on a Friday morning, and when we were on school holidays, he used to chop their heads off and let them run round the yard, and he'd take them into the Hotel Canberra, and had a big 40-gallon drum with boiling water in it. And we'd dump the bodies in there and pull as many feathers as we could off them. And then there was Barber's next door, and then our place, the Southwells, the Rasmussens, and then the Robinsons in that next house, and then there was Nicholson's on the corner in that nursery, and then the next house was the Gowns, a good friend of Avis's, Joyce Gown, and they used to go off together a lot, and then Tracy's down the next place, and I used to sometimes pump the Tracy's thing on the thing while he was doing some horseshoes. Used to love doing that. Mrs. Tracy was wonderful. She had 3 boys. She had Bob, Don, and Michael. And then there was the Duntroon School, and then past that was our school teacher's house.
So Pialigo rather than Canberra, Pialigo was good to you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, look at all those names.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can remember them all. Yeah, you could sort of go down this side was the Primmers, and then the Olsons lived in the other house, and Ulrika was my good friend. They were Swedish people. And then there was the Smiths, and they were strict Methodists, and we used to have to chase the rooster on a Saturday afternoon, take him out of the yard, and he couldn't go back until Monday. That actually happened. And then we had the Batesons. Mrs. Bateson made me my first own dress. She sang out to me one day coming home from school, and I used to go over and help them, the two old maids in the house. And when I come home from school, she'd sing out to me to come and lift something or shift something, or go and get the eggs out of the poultry. Yeah, all those sort of things. And then the grants were on the bottom, on the right hand as we go out. Yeah, grants next to the progress hall and the tennis courts.
Well, you knew everybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You knew everybody. And if anybody was in trouble, my mother was there with a casserole or something, or cakes or something. Mum was always like that. And I guess that's where I get it from. But yeah, Dad was always there too. He was always helping the neighbours out.
Both barrels.
Both of them, yeah. Well, when one of the neighbours had some big problems, Mum and Dad went down and helped.
So what do you think of the changes to Pialio?
I think it's great. It's opened it up, and it's not as isolated as it was. And you look at all the cars around here today, boy, it's amazing. I think it's wonderful. It's all part of progress, Emmanuel.
What progress? Not the good old days?
The good old days were a treatment for what's going to happen in the future. They did. They helped us survive. And I think if the young people of today got stuck in a depression or a mad thing, they wouldn't cope at all. No, they wouldn't cope at all.
Do you think that's going to happen?
I wouldn't be at all surprised, Emmanuel. I just think maybe that's a awakening up call for people. We are a lucky country, and if you think about it, when you see what's going on overseas, I have no ambition to travel. Frank thought London was dirty. Yeah, he loved Paris, and he'd like to go there again. Yep. That's my mum in the nursing home. And that's my brother-in-law Ron, who died of cancer 8 years ago.
It's a full life, isn't it?
It is a full life. That's my sister. We mucked around. That's Mum and Dad's house up the coast. My sister and Frances and I and Mum in the bed, and we mucked around pretending to be the Andrews sisters. And Mum thought it was lovely. That's the tree outside with bougainvillea over it. That's Frances's husband who died of cancer. Yeah, that's Dad in Avis's backyard, and this is Avis's family. 6 kids and husbands and...
It's not bad.
Not bad.
The man and his wife, all those families.
Yeah, all those families. Now here's the bit on Pialego. Memories of Pialego and beyond.
What does it say?
I don't know, I've forgotten. I've forgotten.